Hello, everybody. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America. Somewhere in between two formerly tariffed nations. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Friday, February 21st, 2025. And this is the TNAM AM Show here on the New American Media, TNAM, the New American Media, because the old American media has failed you. Thank you for joining us today. Please hit like, please hit subscribe now that you've found us. Allegedly, although I'm continuing to click on the Rumble link and it's not streaming. Is it streaming? It says it's streaming. Am I streaming on X? Is the question. We're on X at American_media_. Follow the New American Media on Truth Social, Rumble, the YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Link up with us in all those places, please. Looking to see if our live show... Okay, we are streaming on X. Having a problem with Truth Social today and having a problem with Rumble. Rumble is now up and going. Fantastic. We are live on all of these accounts. Perfect. Yeah, make sure you're following us in those spots. We're also on Telegram and... where else? Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. And if you want to be one of the heroes who helps contribute to and fund the New American Media, because we are 100% financed by viewers like you. We're kind of like PBS. We're public broadcasters. And if you like what we do, we take donations on PayPal at Fuzz Installment, on Venmo at Brian Engelman, on Cash App at $Brian Engelman, and patreon.com/the New American Media. Today, we're going to talk about the Epstein files. We're also going to talk about Kash Patel being confirmed. We're going to talk about DC home rule. What even is that? Well, if you live in DC, this is a very good idea. A very good idea to change what's been happening. It's been run into the ground, but we'll talk about it a little bit. We'll unpack and the rest of the stories in today's news. So if you have something that you would like us to discuss on today's show, please go ahead and type it in the comments. Like I said, hit like, hit subscribe, and then type in the comments what you want us to talk about, and we'll see if we can get to it. Let's go ahead and share our Instagram feed, the New American Media, and we'll start walking through the things that we have on tap for you today. Yeah, when you're following us, you can grab these things and share it. So we try to post humorous things, a lot of educational content, thought-provoking content, interesting content. Sometimes it's politics. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's bigger than politics. And sometimes it's just something that cracks us up. So it's a good follow. And we do kind of base our TNAM AM show roughly off of what we see here on Instagram. This is one of those 4-panel things. You've seen these before. Take the test, take the poll. One of these has to go. If you had to get rid of one, would you get rid of bacon or eggs or the IRS or pancakes? If you had to choose one that has to go, bacon, eggs, the IRS, or pancakes. Hey, the audit of the IRS is occurring and it's long overdue. Look, the graft and the theft, the corruption is everywhere. It is time to audit every single thing. Here's Senator Rand Paul discussing $4.8 million stolen from taxpayers to do what? Where's the volume? Here we go.
$8 million spent in Ukraine for social media influencers. While you're at it, we spent, not we, but the people who vote for this, I've voted against all of this, but the members of the Senate who voted for this spent several $100,000 sending designers in Ukraine to the fashion show in Paris. It goes on and on. $4.8 million spent in Ukraine for social media influencers.
Yeah.
While you're at it, we spent, not
How
we,
awesome is that?
but the people who...
Like I said, my one regret with Instagram, well, a couple of changes I would make with Instagram. Please play the clip. You don't need to restart it, because then I have to remember, where did he start? What was the first thing he started saying? I'm like, is this new content or am I repeating the same thing? So bear with me as I sift through those topics. Now, right there, it shows me 23 seconds, but sometimes it'll time out and it won't work unless, hey, look at that. I got a couple people looking at my account. I'm so heavily shadow banned. It's almost like I just assume that nobody is ever going to get to view our stuff over here. That's how bad it is.
People in.
By the way, do you, Penny Johnson, do you want to see a murder? Yeah. This might be the best. Okay, let me reset my brain here. I'm trying to say 5 things at once. After the libs in the White House press corps screamed at Trump's deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller, that Elon Musk is unelected, what happens next is something that needs to be in every college PR class in the history of time. It's easy to do PR. It's easy to do spokesperson duties when you're on the MAGA team. Because what are they doing? They're like, hey, we don't want waste, fraud, and corruption and abuse. This is weird. It's still, I'm getting a weird glitch on Restream here. All right, I'm going to try something. All right, maybe that fixed the glitch. I don't know. I'm going to try something. Here we go. Let's go ahead and pull up that screen one more time. Because my data is not coming through. It's not showing. Well, you don't care about what's happening. I care about what's happening. Maybe that fixed the glitch. Well, I am still broadcasting. I'm going to try something, which is good. All right. The point I was starting to make here is that this video should be shown. This is a masterclass. However, this is shooting fish in a barrel. The problem with having to be Peppermint Patty and Karine Jean-Pierre is that you have to lie every day. Every single day, you're talking in circles. Oh yeah, I'll get back to you on that. I'll circle back. You never do, because all you're doing is running. You're the spokesperson for a mafia organization. Nothing that you're doing is above board. Nothing that you're doing is to benefit the American people. Everything you're pushing is about division and hatred. And in your effort to push division and hatred, you are you're peddling lies. You're not working for the American people. It's easy to call this stuff out from Trump's team, for Stephen Miller, for the Trump press room, for the MAGA press room, because they're like, yeah, we want to stop all this wasteful spending, get our debt under control, pay off this credit card that we have as a nation. We want to send some of this money back to you. We want to spend smart. We want to fix all this broken stuff that's around us. So the caveat is, it is a lot easier to do the job that Stephen Miller is than Karine Jean-Pierre. But masterclass nonetheless. Here you go. They're like, hey, what's going on? This Elon Musk, this is unelected Elon Musk rummaging through all of our stuff.
In this room for 4 years failed to cover the fact that Joe Biden was mentally incompetent and was not running the country.
Yep.
It is also true that many people in this room who have used this talking point that Elon is not elected fail to understand how government works. Yeah. So I'm glad for the opportunity for a brief civics lesson. A president is elected by the whole American people. He's the only official in the entire government that is elected by the entire nation, right? Judges are appointed, members of Congress are elected at the district or state level, just one man. And the Constitution, Article 2, has a clause known as the vesting clause, and it says the executive power shall be vested in a president, singular. The whole will of democracy is imbued into the elected president. That president then appoints staff to then impose that democratic will onto the government. The threat to democracy, indeed the existential threat to democracy, is the unelected bureaucracy of lifetime tenured civil servants who believe they answer to no one, who believe they can do whatever they want without consequence, who believe they can set their own agenda no matter what Americans vote for. So Americans vote for radical FBI reform, and FBI agents say they don't want to change. Or Americans vote for radical reform on our energy policies, but EPA bureaucrats say they don't want to change. Or Americans vote to end DEI, racist DEI policies, and lawyers at the Department of Justice say they don't want to change. What President Trump is doing is he is removing federal bureaucrats who are defying democracy by failing to implement his lawful orders, which are the will of the whole American people. People in this room
How fantastic
for
is that?
4 years failed to cover the fact that Joe Biden
Let's get out of this.
was mentally.
That's the best thing you will see. It is so well articulated. It is so factual, so accurate. Joe Biden wasn't capable of tying his shoelaces. And for 4 years, those same idiots in the media, the lying legacy media, the ones getting all their kickbacks and getting funded by the deep state, stealing our money to fund propaganda garbage at us. They didn't once call out that Joe Biden was incompetent. They didn't want to care who's actually running our government for 4 years with Soros, Tides Foundation, USAID. There's a laundry list of 100 people and places. Actually, let me pull this one up. Here, let me. This one kind of gets to the heart of the matter. Let me share this tab. Insurrection Barbie put this out. This is how George Soros controlled. Am I sharing this? Yes. Okay. This is how Alex Soros, through the money of George Soros, controlled the Biden's White House. We keep hearing ad nauseum from the shills over at CNN and MSNBC how Elon Musk runs the government and how someone who is unelected is in control. Strangely, none of those people wanted to tell you the influence that George Soros had in the Biden administration. So to recap, the media has a really big problem with transparency and the fact that Elon Musk is looking for waste, fraud, and abuse. Oh, by the way, and treason. When you're using this stolen money, this reappropriated money, to go against our First Amendment rights, that's treasonous. You're violating your oath of office. You're violating our Bill of Rights. You are actively subverting the mission statement of the United States of America. You're going after our Second Amendment rights to defend ourselves from enemies both at home and abroad. You're violating your oath of office and you're committing treason. You're violating the plan of the United States of America. So anyway, looking for waste, fraud, and abuse, but they're silent about the fact that George and Alex Soros secretly guided the White House agenda behind the back of the American people. Even before Biden was inaugurated, he had a transition review team, multiple transition review teams that were assembled for every department within the government. Those teams had to understand all the operations of the specific government agencies so that the administration will be ready on day one. 17 picks for those transition teams worked directly for Soros organizations. And he would call them and direct them on what policy to push in each department. The following are examples of agencies that had a transition team member directly working in a Soros organization. State Department. But by the way, these are our most important areas. It's not that someone somewhere down the line has some assistant administrative role. No. This is the entire thrust and direction of the United States government being directed by George Soros. Where were the concerns and complaints at that point? Where were the problems with Soros? Where were they? The following examples of agencies having a transition team member working directly in a Soros organization were the State Department, the Department of Defense, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the United States Mission to the United Nations, the Department of Labor, the Department of the Treasury, you know, where the Treasury tried to block the Treasury director from seeing the information in the Treasury. You have a rogue, out of control, captured segment of our American government. It's gone completely rogue. It won't let the Treasury director access the files. Yeah, that's treason right there. Also banking and securities regulators and the National Security Council. So check out this thread. It's on our X feed at American_media_. Yeah. And then he links up with Huma Abedin. A arrangement of convenience, if you will. All right, we'll go back to sharing this. Anyway, it's important to understand when people are, oh, Elon Musk is unelected. You repeat what he just said. Elon is assisting President Trump at his will, at his discretion. Elon's not making decisions. He's finding things and bringing them to the president for consideration. All right, speaking of consideration, have you considered how crucial it is that Kash Patel has been confirmed as the director of the FBI? And how crucial is it that the indictments are going to start flowing? Obama, Pelosi, Cheney, Kinzinger, McConnell, Graham. My God. Newland, Kerry, Schiff. Oh my God. Ilhan Omar, Schumer. Go down the list of corrupt creeps in our government. Kash Patel is uniquely positioned, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, to actually go at the entire Biden crime family. I think you got to start with Hillary and Obama. I don't think there's any messing around here. You came at the king and you missed. You called Trump a king. That's a quote from The Wire. You come at the king, you best not miss. Yeah, they tried to frame Trump to get him impeached. They tried to frame Trump for an insurrection so he couldn't even run a second time. They tried to indict him once he did start running, to throw him in a cage for the rest of his life, where they could then Epstein him to silence him. Then when that didn't work, they tried to explode him in Butler, Pennsylvania. They tried to explode him on the golf course in Florida. Yeah, these people have gone, there's normal politics, and then there's the most disgusting, vile stuff you've ever seen. And that's what the Democrat deep state has been running nonstop now. And so you want to know why Adam Schiff is a little terrified right now? Let's watch this little piece. Okay, yes, it's framed properly. Here we go.
This is someone we cannot trust. This is someone who lacks the character to do this job, someone who lacks the integrity to do this job. We know that. Our Republican colleagues know that. The only qualification Kash Patel has to be FBI director is that when everyone else in the first Trump administration said, no, I won't do that, that crosses moral, ethical, and legal lines.
The Democrats are the kings and queens of projection. Everything they do, they aim at the Republicans. They aim it at the other side. All the Democrat deep state has done is cross lines of ethical conduct into treasonous territory to overthrow the duly elected president of the United States on multiple occasions for the last 9 years.
Kash Patel said, sign me up. In the first Trump administration, as we are seeing in the second, you rise to the level of your sycophancy, and no one is a bigger or more dangerous sycophant than Kash Patel. This political hack does not deserve to be in this building. He can't do the job. He won't protect the public. He will misuse the resources of the Bureau. He will weaponize it against the president's political opponents rather than the...
Did you catch that? He wants to weaponize the government to go after his political opponents. That's literally what they got Fannie Willis and Alvin Bragg and Letitia James. That's exactly what Obama, Hillary, and the deep state were doing to President Trump. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. The Democrats used lawfare that was masquerading as a justice system. The Republicans, the MAGA is not Republican, MAGA is MAGA. because Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, all those Republican traitors are just as bad as the Democrats, maybe even worse. But the MAGA team is going to use the justice system to prosecute the people who have weaponized the government through lawfare. And it is so overdue.
Protecting the safety, the public safety of the American people.
Adam Schiff is the worst criminal in Congress in the last 250 years. And what broke that we're going to talk about right now is Adam Schiff met with a whistleblower. Adam Schiff went to the podium day after day after day saying, I know nothing about this. We're not going to discuss it. We're going to protect it. And then Adam Schiff, led the prosecution of the impeachment trial in the Senate of President Donald Trump. Talk about someone who was conflicted out of the game because he was part of the hoax that brought Charmella in, manufactured that false accusation, and then peddled it out to the world. And he continued, not surprising, he's lied about almost everything in his life.
Yep.
But now he lied just to set up a presidential impeachment. And that's what I was talking about, these disinformation campaigns. And then he should be investigated because he lied to the world about his interactions with Charmella, who was a whistleblower, and I can't stress it enough, that started a presidential impeachment. Now, your history is way better than mine, but I can't remember the last time a president was actually impeached. It's a significant process and escalation, and it's reserved for the time when it actually shows a crime, not when it shows the manufacture of fake information to show a fake crime. The guy that found and manufactured the evidence with Charmella was the prosecutor in the case against the target of the investigation. That is the ultimate, from a prosecutorial standpoint, conflict of interest. But he knew what he was doing, and he thought he would never get exposed. And I think thanks to, I think it was John Solomon and his fantastic reporting, we now see what I've been saying for years, that I thought he met with him for sure, and it will come out, and it now has.
How great is that? The deep state ought to be terrified because they're guilty as shit. And it's not just simple little things, the fudging around the corners, a little bit of gray area. They got so cocky under Barack Hussein Obama, they thought they could get away with everything. And they ramped it up, and they ramped it up, and they ramped it up, and they just kept going. And they got confident, more cocky, more sloppy, more illegal, more treasonous, every step of the way, murderous, every step of the way, every step of the way. And as they were marching proudly in that general direction, this is the moment they're stopping the march because they've run out of plank and they see nothing but icy waters below. They glance back and it's a bunch of pirates there holding swords saying, you're not coming this way. Walk the plank. They did this to themselves. They marched confidently into their own jail cells. This is the only chance we're ever going to have to save our country. And I'm super excited for it. Imagine the dirt they have on Adam Schiff. Let's switch gears over here. We're going to bounce around to a bunch of different topics, kind of as I found them on Instagram. Yes, my kingdom for a producer. If we had this stuff all nice and tight and organized, maybe it would be topic by topic, but it's all right. It's all right. We're going to bounce through interesting content that you might have missed yesterday. And this is Ben Swan discussing, once again, here's another one. Zelensky. This dude, as a comic, he's like, oh, I could run a country. If a community organizer in America called Barack Hussein Obama could run a country, I mean, this guy doesn't really bring anything to the table. He can read a teleprompter very well. And he does inspire some confidence. And just the sight of him, he looks good in he looks sharp in a suit. And he's just 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America. Zelensky's like, I could do that. This guy's an empty suit. He's great at reading the teleprompter, but what's he really bringing on the table? So they convinced Zelensky, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Burisma, Hunter Biden, Victoria Nuland. They're like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to stage a coup to overthrow Ukraine. We're going to install you as the president puppet. And then we're going to try to get you in NATO, and we're going to start pushing and pushing and pushing at your border with Russia. and try to provoke a response so we can get into World War III. He's like, I'd like to be the president, but they don't tell you that at first. They kind of get you in, and then you're stuck. And we're going to get to Epstein and Diddy. You know, you come on over. Hey, we're having a party. We're having a big event, dinner and food and music and dancing and drinking and good times. And then it gets dark and it gets weird and you get trapped and you end up drugged. You end up videotaped. You end up engaging in things that feel good at the time, or you didn't realize the person was underage, or you get whatever the case may be. Once they get their hooks into you, once they get their claws into your skin, you're a goner. That's how they get you. It's like Devil's Advocate. Remember that movie with Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino? Vanity. Always get him with vanity. Zelensky got caught up in this mess, and now he's stuck. He has really nowhere to turn. His best plan of action would be to make an announcement. I've said this for several shows in a row. If I were advising Zelensky, I would say, buddy, read the room. You're at 4% approval. Trump is not funding you anymore. Like, in fact, they've cut you out of negotiations. They're going to call a ceasefire deal without your input. Buddy, read the room. Europe's not going to pay you. They're not going to money launder that kind of funds through you. Said out of like 175 billion, they only got 75. The Bidens successfully stole $100 billion, allegedly. Read the room. I would resign immediately and say, this has been the most challenging time for me and my family. You know, the invasion by Russia, you know, he'll try to blame it all on Russia instead of his actions that he allowed the deep state to push through him as a puppet. Yeah, I would definitely try to walk out of that room and just say, I'm going to put it up for an election. I'm choosing not to run again. You know, I pray that our country can heal from this tragic period. You know, I did my best. I'm a lowly comedian. I did the best I could with what I knew at the time. And I wish nothing but the best of luck to the future successor that takes over as president here in Ukraine. That's what I would advise him to say immediately. Run, hide, keep a low profile. Because I suspect this guy's going to have a car crash, a heart attack, you know, however they normally take these. Oh, he slipped and fell out of the 17th floor window. Oh, did he?
Soon, Zelensky was everywhere, on the cover of Time, Newsweek, Wired, Vanity Fair. He was even photographed for Vogue. You can't make this stuff up. He and his wife posed for cover photos while he was in the midst of leading a war, supposedly for his country's survival. Really? And he had time for this. Actually, he had time for this and a lot more. The actor turned president also made his way to the U.S. stage by recording messages which were played live at the Grammys and the Golden Globes. He rang the bell at Wall Street virtually, and he visited Congress live and in person. A weird sand statue of him was erected in Estonia, and Congressman Joe Wilson, a Republican from South Carolina, introduced a bill to erect a permanent bust of Zelensky at the U.S. Capitol. By the way, you can now purchase a miniature version of this would-be bust on Amazon for $19.99.
He was selected to act in this role, and he's doing a fantastic job as an actor. Quite frankly, this is a role of a lifetime, and he's killing it.
And it's clear that Zelensky got a lot of help in prepping for this role. Pretty soon, Zelensky was everywhere, on the cover of Time, Newsweek, Wired, Vanity Fair. He was even photographed for Vogue. You can't make this stuff up. He and his wife posed for cover photos while he was in the midst of leading a war, supposedly for his country's survival. Really? And he had time for this. Actually, he had time for this and a lot more. The actor turned president also made his way to the U.S. stage by recording messages which were played live at the Grammys and the Golden Globes. He rang the bell at Wall Street virtually, and he visited Congress live.
All right. Oh, that's the Instagram glitch. Sorry about that. But yeah, that's a pretty good recap of who Zelensky is, where he came from, and what he's all about. And he is in more danger now than he's ever been. I just wonder if he's smart enough to read the room. I don't know, but we'll see. This is former UK Prime Minister Liz Truss. You know, she's at CPAC. CPAC is happening. And she's not mincing words here. UK has been under invasion, much like it was all those years ago. The Barack Hussein Obama method, we call it the Obama doctrine here on the New American Media, to flood sovereign nations with non-citizens in the Cloward and Piven strategy to overwhelm their system and infiltrate and change them from within. We're 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America. Yeah, you're trying to radically transform every country into a hodgepodge, dumping people from Africa, from Central America, from South America, from Middle East, from parts unknown into Germany, into Scotland, into Sweden, into the United States, into Canada, everywhere. You're trying to permanently change the demographic makeup of that country. You're trying to permanently change the political makeup of that country. You're trying to rob those nations of their national treasure and give them to illegal, alien, foreign invaders, military-aged men, invaders. That's the Obama doctrine. And if you were initially kind of against immigration and immigration controls and deportation, it's like, I don't know. I mean, there's just people working here seasonally and they're working on farms. We have programs for that. And we have programs for that, meaning you walk through the front door, you identify yourself, we run background checks, and you enter the nation legally on a temporary worker program. And if you decide to go through the process of learning English, the national language of America, if you decide to adopt and learn about the Bill of Rights and adopt those as your guiding light, the compass directing you toward how you want to operate in this country, at the pleasure of us, the citizens, we may choose to allow you to become a citizen. You don't just sneak in the back door and start stealing our shit. And so I think the world has gained a little bit of pride back. I know pride is one of the 7 deadly sins, but a little sense of identity and common sense and strength and wisdom and the courage to speak up and speak out. So now you're hearing this from the former UK Prime Minister Liz Truss. Let's take a listen to her.
And we look across the Atlantic with envy. We see President Trump in the Oval Office signing off executive orders, and we want some of that in Britain. We want drill, baby, drill. We want men banned from women's bathrooms and women's sports. We want illegal immigrants deported. We want taxes to be cut. We want a Trump revolution in Britain.
Yeah.
We want to flood the zone. We want Elon and his nerd army of muskrats examining the British deep state.
Yes.
And we look across the Atlantic with envy. We see President Trump in the Oval Office signing off executive orders, and we want some of that in Britain.
Yeah, they want that. Of course they do. There you go. That's shared from the Real State of America. Bravo. All right, here is Vice President J.D. Vance at CPAC. Yeah, a lot of these are going to be like highlights being made. Hold on, let me go back. I can't skip over this. We want Elon and his nerd army of musk rats examining the British deep state. We want Elon and his nerd army of muskrats. When I heard that yesterday, I laughed. But it didn't even dawn on me that his last name is Musk and that Muskrats was a play on that. Now it's even funnier because I'm like, oh, I just missed it. First time I heard it. How did I miss Muskrats? It's obvious what she was doing there. Okay, here we go. J.D. Vance speaking at CPAC, talking about what's going on, what they're taking over, and the direction moving forward.
Is in the interest of the American people, and he's going to fight for
talk about, and peace is in the interest of the American people was the very beginning there.
For the remainder of his administration, wherever war breaks out, he's going to be the president of peace. Now, he, of course, is a very good negotiator, a very good businessman. He recognizes that a lot of these issues are tough It's going to take a smart statesman to figure this stuff out, but we've got that in the White House, and I really believe that we're on the cusp of peace in Europe for the first time in 3 years because we have leadership from the Oval Office, and we haven't had it in 4 years in this country. Peace is in the interest of the American people, and he's going to...
And so we're going to work toward peace because it makes sense.
Well,
are you ready? Are you ready for Kash Patel to take over? The American people are finally going to get justice. This shared from the Do Not Comply account.
go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice. DC, and you remove all these positions, right? And you start enacting measures, not of retribution, but of legal consequence. Y'all acted one way. For instance, the people that signed the 51 Intel letter, right? Permanently suspend their security clearances forever. Every one of those guys lied. Every one of those guys got caught lying. You're talking about 2 former CIA directors, a former NSA director, and a former Secretary of Defense. All intentionally, to this day, continue to lie and won't take back their letter. Okay, you can stop making money from your security clearance. And if you break the rules and regulations, you're out. Will.
Let's go. If that doesn't get you excited, I think you might want to check your blood. I think you might want to check your pulse. Steve Bannon's excited.
It's a glorious day. You know why it's glorious? Kash Patel's director of the FBI. Confirmed by the United States Senate. As was Bobby Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Hegseth. Didn't they tell you it couldn't be done? Didn't they? All right there. Didn't the mainstream media say it couldn't be done? None of them, right? It's a glorious day. Mitch McConnell.
He's done.
Mitch McConnell's gone. He retired.
Deuces.
Right?
Weird little turtle.
You did that.
Traitor.
Remember on the Ukraine vote? Remember that? He broke his pick on that. You delivered that. Just like you delivered Tulsi and Bobby and Pete and Kash. They said Trump wouldn't get any of his cabinet members as key. He got them all. Why? Because of you. Scott Besson today said Elon's group in the first 30 days found $55 billion of waste, fraud, and abuse, right?
Good Lord.
$55 billion. That's going to add up to $600, $700, $800 billion. In 1 month, they've done that. And President Trump comes that day. He's so excited. He says, hey, I think we can balance the budget. Right? President Trump, hang on for a second. Let's just get it down under $1 trillion. We'll start there. This is a glorious day. Yeah. You know why it's glorious?
There you go. It is glorious.
But
yeah, this guy used to work for the federal government. This is Justine Brooke Murray in the Media Research Center here sharing this. This guy used to work for the federal government. They're having a nice civil conversation for a minute, and then the guy appears to get big mad.
Used to work for the federal government. I just don't think that this country's going in the correct direction.
What did you used to do in the federal government?
Regulate pesticides.
Oh.
Regulate pesticides. Wow. And you've allowed Monsanto to do what they've done to poison our food supply this entire time. If there's a more useless person in our federal government, I'd love to meet him for what they've allowed to poison our food supply.
Okay, so USAID has funded things like a transgender opera, a DEI musical. So a DEI musical, they've actually spent a $30K on transgender opera in Colombia and $70K on a DEI musical in Ireland. So would you say those things are essential? Should Americans at least have a look at where USAID goes?
Absolutely not.
They shouldn't at all.
That's correct.
Abso-freaking-lutely not. What a weirdo. They big mad. Yet you don't want to take a look at what's going on in the nation. You don't want to look at the spending across the world. Uh-huh. Here's Elon Musk at CPAC.
Like sometimes like to end this war. Say like, you know, I'm a bought asset of Putin.
Yeah.
I'm like, he can't afford me.
Yeah. I think you're worth more than Russia.
Think about it.
I like that.
People like sometimes like
to end this war.
Say like,
Yeah.
I'm a bought asset of Putin.
Yeah.
I'm like, he can't afford me.
Yeah. I think you're worth more than Russia.
Think about it.
Think about it. Elon's definitely a little douchey. But hey. Sorry, I'm trying to do a conversation with the restream people. That is what I'm trying to do while currently hosting my broadcast. It's challenging. And this glitch has interfered with my ability to measure the metrics that have always been here for the past 2 years. Natalie taking umbrage with me saying, oh, geez. Anyway, what an amazing time to be alive. It's a weird flex, this whole Russia thing. You want to talk about a weird flex? This is from Houston Chronicle here. This is about the Texas Lottery Commission. This is an interesting story that's, maybe it's not as important as Kash Patel getting confirmed, the release of the Epstein and Diddy files, stopping the war, whatever, all these big important stories. But this is wild. Take a listen to this back and forth here. This is crazy. There's an entity in Texas that ensured that it would win the lottery by purchasing virtually every one of the 25.8 million possible 6-number combinations. Look, if there's a loophole and a nerd can figure it out, I think you win it once. Kudos, good on you. You ran the numbers, you did the math, and you found a way. But let's dig into this here, because there's a lot of people wondering how corrupt the lottery systems are.
On Wednesday, a panel of state officials gathered to talk about the Texas Lottery Commission's budget, but the hearing quickly turned into something else.
And then somebody showed up with about $11 million in cash to buy tickets. Would you consider that an ordinary operation?
That's right. Suddenly, lawmakers wanted to hear more about the operation we've been writing about for nearly a year. In April 2023, a single lottery player calling itself Rook Texas guaranteed it would win the $95 million Lotto Texas jackpot by buying up every number combination, more than 25 million tickets. By our calculations, Rook cleared a $20 million profit. We reported how the Texas Lottery Commission went out of its way to help the operation's organizers, but lawmakers saw a bigger potential problem.
If I was trying to launder money in this country, I would buy $25 million worth of lottery tickets. This is 99% probability of money laundering.
Lottery commissioners, who are appointed by Governor Greg Abbott, agreed.
To answer your question, yes, that sounds incredibly irregular.
And for the first time since we've covered this story, the lottery's director admitted that maybe helping a single buyer arrange to win a guaranteed jackpot win wasn't such a great idea.
I think it definitely hurt the integrity and perception of that game.
And all that was before the real bombshell dropped.
I'm here today as legal counsel to make the following statement on behalf of a client group victimized by a long-running criminal conspiracy between the Texas Lottery Commission, former lottery director Gary Grief, IGT, and the publicly traded NASDAQ company Lottery.com.
In a letter read to legislators, a group of aggrieved investors called the April 2023 Lotto Texas draw the biggest money laundering scheme in global lottery history.
Okay. The biggest money laundering scheme in global lottery history that we've uncovered so far. I assure you this is not the first time. By the way, this would make an excellent movie.
The senator seemed alarmed that the Lottery Commission hadn't already started investigating.
Let me ask you this question then. Do you think it should receive priority?
Yes, sir.
They also called out the Lottery Commission's recently retired director for allowing the controversial buy.
And Gary Grief was the executive director at the time and pretty much seemed like turned a blind eye to this, if not was aiding and helping this.
Then they called in the big guns.
We just need to call in the Texas Rangers immediately.
You can read more about the hearing and how a single buyer stacked the odds in a Texas lottery game in the Houston Chronicle. We'll be staying on this story. On Wednesday, a panel of state officials gathered to talk about...
Stay on top of it. It's a cool story. I mean, I would do it. If it's legal, I would do it. Why wouldn't you? So here you go. Benny Johnson sharing this. Switching gears. This is at CPAC again. Javier Milei comes out at CPAC carrying his Doge chainsaw, giving it to Elon. Elon is such a... And this is symbolic of Javier Milei going in and afuera, 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 cut it, cut it, cut it, cut all of this, cut all of the spending. Stop it. You're nuts. Cut everything. Everything non-essential, cut it. And you see Chucky Schumer. Well, yeah, there's a fraud and there's inappropriate spending in Congress, but you don't come out with a meat axe. You don't just cut everything. You don't use a meat axe. All right, not a meat axe. How about a damn chainsaw, pal? Much like when Elon was wielding his flamethrower on Joe Rogan, grabbing the chainsaw, raising it to the skies and going, ah! It's almost like the noise he made was something out of a South Park episode. Ah! Talking about like a Michael Bay episode. And it was all like, ah! And ah!
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
Chainsaw for Should I start it? Please start.
All right. I love it.
That's fair enough. I want to hear the noise he makes one more time, but the risk of the music, considering copyright, is copyright. He had a chainsaw gasm. Javier Milei, Elon, Trump. I mean, this is the way. Hey, speaking of the way, this is from Explaining the Universe. It says NASA has released the most insane footage of Mars ever recorded.
NASA just released the most insane footage of Mars ever recorded.
Thanks for saying exactly the thing I just said.
140 million miles away from us.
In the comments, they go, it looks like Arizona. You believe that this is Mars? I don't know. Do you think we could build a civilization there? Could we terraform the planet and change the atmosphere? No.
NASA just released the most insane footage.
You know, that is the big question with every piece of footage you see. It's like, does this look real? Could it be real? Could it be faked? It's like, I don't know. Okay, this is breaking from 28.0 Chasing Death. ATF's chief counsel Pamela Hicks has been fired and escorted out of the Washington, D.C. headquarters. Hicks oversaw the enforcement of every Biden infringement of the Second Amendment since taking the position in 2021. Adios. No more messing with our Second Amendment. It shall not be infringed. Here is the U.S. Eco Council Director Kevin Hassett with a hilarious answer to a reporter whining about IRS agents being fired.
So you're saying that everybody who's being let go was doing a bad job?
I'm saying that we're studying every agency and deciding who to let go and why. And we're doing so very rationally with a lot of support from analysis.
Because we're being told by a lot of people who have been let go at other agencies that they were told they were being dismissed because of poor performance, when in some cases they haven't even had a performance review yet because they've only been on the job a couple of months.
Yeah, I've never seen a person who was laid off for poor performance say that they were performing poorly. Okay.
So you're saying
I've never seen somebody who's been laid off for poor performance say that they're performing poorly. I think that should be a bumper sticker for Doge. That is a great quote. Although I will agree in one regard, I was laid off from a position once and I was the top sales guy. My numbers were the best. I remember talking to one of the people I was mentoring 6 months later, 9 months later, a year later, whatever it was. And he's like, dude, you're still the leader on the charts that count the sales. He's like, you've been gone for a long time and you're still in number one position. I'm like, yeah, it was definitely a personal thing. So I can see both sides of this. Anyway, look, Speaker Mike Johnson, he's kind of providing the yin to the yang, the sober yin to the raging yang of Trump and Musk, saying we should give 20% back to the taxpayers for all this money that's been found. How about $5,000? Look, on one hand, I understand that it would be helpful to get the support of the American people by going, look, hundreds of billions of dollars of goofy bullshit has been stolen from you, from all of our taxes. Here's $5,000 back. Look what we found. Aren't you happy we're finding all this? We'll give you more money back. We'll ask for less money moving forward. We'll pay down the credit card debt and get on track. I understand, because I was maybe surprised at the amount of people who were supporting President Trump in 2024, because I remember watching a lot of videos. I can't tell you what account, because I didn't really pay attention to any one of these videos all that much at the time. But thinking about it in hindsight, there were a lot of videos of asking, going to the hood in different cities, big cities. Could be Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, New York. It didn't matter where. But they'd be interviewing and they'd ask a group of black people, like, hey, what do you think about the upcoming election? Who you got? There were a lot of people that said, I'm voting for my end, Trump. You know how they turn that word into the word that just means like dude. I'm voting for my dude, Trump. They're like, you're voting Trump. Some were surprised and some were supportive. Either way, the follow-up would be like, all right, well, why are you voting for Trump? He's like, that dude gave me money. That dude sent me a check during COVID. That shit helped. That dude was looking out for me. He gave me a couple of bucks. I want more of that. And in a vacuum, I never really paid all that much attention to any of those videos, but it became a trend of, and it wasn't just black people. It was, let's just say, non-white people in city environments, urban environments, places where, as the legacy media, the lying legacy deep state propaganda media would have you believe, that urban folk, non-white folk, they're all voting Democrat. That's been their plan, to divide and conquer. Oh, white people are bad. Males are bad. Christians are bad. Straight people are bad. Like everything, bad, 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 bad. But these videos were not just black dudes. It was Latinos and Latinas. Different inner city groups were like, I like Trump, to the point where you would have a little bit of cognitive dissonance, or like it would kind of hurt your head. You're like, really? Trump has support from this demographic? Because the media, the lying legacy media, they tell you that nobody in these communities. Remember what Biden said? If you're black and you vote for Trump, then you ain't black. You know how condescending and racist these Democrats have always been. I mean, we've been calling it out for a long time, but some people are just now waking up to it. But I think there is a value to going to every person in the country and go, hey, through Doge's efforts, something that was started, I don't know if it was started, but you go back to the Bill Clinton and Al Gore days where they really cut the budget. They were working with Speaker Newt Gingrich to cut the budget and really get balanced. But like that common sense was important in the 90s. Everything went off the rails with 9/11, with the police state, and it went into this goofy Obama doctrine of racial division money laundering and nation implosion and invasion under Obama. America being one of the nations that imploded and were invaded at his discretion, at his will, not an accident, a definite plan. There's something that could be said like, hey, I found $100 billion laying around. Can I split some of this with you? Be like, yes. I don't want to be funding I don't want my money. Hold on. I could either have $5,000 in my bank account to help me this month, or I could decide to send that check so that we could study the effects of gambling on monkeys. Yeah, I'll take my $5,000. When you put it into something that granular, something that narrow and focused and that pinpoint specific, ask them. Ask them. Would you like to get a $5,000 check this month, or would you like to send that check? We're going to send it to you, but there's an envelope here. Put it back in the envelope, postage paid. You can choose to send it to the IRS building that's 92% vacant, so that they can have $130,000 worth of cinnamon K-cups, cinnamon coffee, for a big office building that's 92% empty. Go ahead, put it back in the envelope and send it if you would rather spend your tax dollars that way. When it becomes that specific, it becomes very easy to support the agenda. It becomes very easy to go, all right, this dude Trump is working for me. All right. And so I think to break through the decades of deep state brainwashing and be like, look, I'm looking out for you. I'm not putting this in my pocket. I'm giving it to you. I get it. But Speaker Johnson, he's the sober yin to the raging yang of like, hey, let's give the people some money back. Speaker Johnson doesn't seem quite so keen on the idea.
Why the left and why so many Democrats are enraged at Donald Trump right now for trying to end two wars that he did not start.
I wish I could explain the Democrats. They're just enraged about everything. They think about it. Their policies and their parties are in totally disarray. They don't have a leader. They don't have a real vision forward. They don't know where they're going to head. The entire platform has been repudiated by the American people. The woke progressive nonsense has been stamped out. And so all they know to do is to lash out. I mean, think of it. They're opposing the ending of wars. They're opposing they're opposing the Doge effort, right? What Elon and the team are doing is what Congress has not had the ability to do. They have cracked the code. They're inside the belly of the beast of the bureaucracy, and the algorithms are crawling through. That's right. They're exposing this massive fraud, waste, and abuse that we have not been able to uncover because the deep state has hidden it from us.
They have built it to be a money laundering operation. This isn't a flaw in the design. The design is the flaw.
This is a revolutionary kind of moment. It really is. And I told Elon in his office Monday before last, I said, you think of this like a scientist and a data analyst, and I think of it like a constitutional law attorney and a historian. Elon, what we're going to do here is bring back the founders' original intent for the federal government, right? I mean, Rob, you know, you're a student of history as well. The founders wanted a lean, small federal government. They wanted most of the power pushed down to the states, as you know, and they wanted the federal government to be closely monitored by the duly elected representatives of the people in Congress. The problem is Congress has not been able to do that job because they've been hiding the evidence, hiding the ball. Elon's on the inside, and that's why the Democrats are so nervous. He is right over the target right now.
Explain why
okay, that wasn't exactly the clip. That's a very important clip. I'm fine with it. There was another one that I was hoping to see. But here's one from Libs of TikTok. And this is Kristi Noem talking about the people we're getting rid of and how important it is that these people no longer are inside of our borders.
I was just going through some of the folks that we've pulled off the streets to deport out of this country because of President Trump's focus on making America safe again. Here we have a guy named Gonzalez, who's been convicted of sodomy of children less than 13 years of age. He has been sentenced to prison, but he is out of our country now, thanks to President Trump. Another guy here who is arrested and has been removed, but he was convicted for possession of distributing child porn. So this guy was distributing that throughout the country, illegal alien, gone from our country now. Here we have a Chinese national convicted of murder, now is gone, a citizen of China that came here and was convicted of killing people in this country that are gone thanks to President Trump. Thank you to all the brave men and women that are out there deporting these illegal criminals. They get up every day to do it and are making our communities safer.
Thank you. If you're not just looking at the news every single day saying thank you, I think you're missing the point. Okay, this is the clip I was looking for. This is from Real News, No Bullshit. Elon Musk speaks about $5,000 Doge rebates for Americans, and Speaker Johnson has, you know, the counterpoint.
Chainsaw!
Chainsaw!
Bureaucracy.
That's exactly right. Let's talk about these Doge dividend checks that everybody's talking about this week. And I know you tweeted out that you're gonna. Does everybody want like a $5,000 check in the mail? It sounds kind of good, right? And the best part about it would be knowing where it came from. That's $5,000 that you sent them last year.
Totally. It's money that's taken away from things that are destructive to the country, and from organizations that hate you to you. That's awesome.
Does it seem? I mean, have you talked?
I mean, that's like glorious.
It is glorious to take money away from organizations that hate you, that are anti-American, that are treasonous. If you're going against the civil liberties, the Bill of Rights, our freedom of our First Amendment rights, that's treasonous. You have violated your oath and you are working to destroy this nation. You're either working with us or you're working against us.
That's like the spoils of battle, you know?
Spoils of battle. I like that. Is there traction on that?
The spoils of battle. We conquer the nation and then we divvy it up among the people that overtook it. You seize the ship and you split the gold amongst you.
Yeah. So I talked to the president. He's supportive of that, and so it sounds like that's something we're going to do.
Yep.
So as we're finding savings, that's going to translate directly to reductions in tax. So
yeah.
The president said that a percentage of Doge savings could maybe go back to the American people in the form of what he called Doge stimulus checks, something like 20%. How would that work?
Well, look, I mean, politically, that would be great for us, you send everybody a check, but really, we have to think of it, I think, in a
That just got everybody's attention, by the way.
I know.
I just saw everybody look up all of a sudden.
I know.
Yep.
But if you think about our core principles, right, fiscal responsibility is what we do as conservatives. That's our brand. And we have a $36 trillion federal debt. We have a giant deficit that we're contending with. I think we need to pay down the credit card, right? That's what I think we need to do.
Chainsaw!
Chainsaw! Yeah, I'm somewhere in between both of those philosophies. And I think we should have a real robust conversation about what we do and think it through. Think it through. Here's Kash Patel. How great does this sound? This being shared from the Real State of America.
Thing that I put in the book that I recommended the boss to do hits on this. We need a 24/7 declassification office.
Yes.
Rolling papers out 24/7. And not just like JFK and not just 9/11. You're talking to the guy that's read the whole 9/11 report and those 7 pages that people talk about. But I believe, as like the guy who's an intel guy who believes wholeheartedly in the classified system of information, I believe that it has been over-abused by these corrupt officials.
Yeah, they overclassify way too much. So he's saying just 24/7. Let's get that thing going. Let's declassify everything that we can. I like that too.
In government to hide the truth and enact more corrupt activities. So what I told the boss was like, I don't care what you call it, truth and reconciliation, whatever, come up with a better name. But every agency and department literally submits all of their documentation, and I believe you could get half out. Half. I still think the other half needs to remain classified. I'll always argue that it does serve a purpose, but like you're seeing in these documents in the Jack Smith case, they're just redacting stuff that they lied about, that they broke the law.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's used to protect them.
The other thing that I put in the book that I recommended the boss to do hits on this. We need a 24/7 declassification office.
Yes. Got it. I agree. Yeah, all right then. And wait, there we go. Okay. 24/7 declassification.
I mean,
it's used to
here's the second part of the interview. There we go.
protect themselves.
And it's a public document in federal court, which is a document for the people of the United States. And we can have you run that office. You can come in and just be like, hey, I want all the Saudi documents.
I'll gladly do that.
I'd
be so happy.
So
Luke will be
the press secretary for the Libertarian Party.
The declassifying
the
documenter.
Viceroy of declassification.
Absolutely, I like that.
There you go.
I'm in. You got. Where do I sign up?
Yeah, but I think that's how you earn the respect. Like you said, Donald Trump started talking about these things. Then we started putting these documents out there. And remember when I ran Russiagate, right? They came after me and said, if you put out the Nunes memo and you put this out that you wrote, our enemies and our allies are going to get murdered. No one died.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's used to protect themselves.
And it's a
yeah. Everything's a threat with these people.
Think about
things that, if you do that, won't you think of the children? People will die if you do this. Shut up. Tired of being lied to, tired of being taken advantage of, tired of being robbed, tired of changing our culture, changing our constitutionally protected rights. Done with it all. Absolutely done with it all. Here's Dave Smith discussing how interesting this Doge situation is.
About the idea of anybody's complaint with Doge being a lack of transparency. And by the way, I'm all for Doge being as transparent as possible. I'd like to know every goddamn thing they find, every program they plan on recommending to cut. I'm all for transparency. But if you have an issue with a lack of transparency, okay, where have you been in the last 10, 20, however many years you've been doing this? Where have you been on the CIA, on the Federal Reserve, on the FBI, on just all of these government programs? Where have you been on that? This is give me this bullshit about how you care about transparency. Half of our government, the part with teeth, operates in the shadows, in complete secrecy. Get the fuck out of here. Your issue is transparency. Think about the...
Yeah, that's not the issue. The only people worried about transparency are the people that are up to no good. This is a conversation about what is the deep state, actually.
Into the deep state. What is it?
It is...
More Kash Patel. Get to know him. He's man, if there's ever been a person more perfectly suited for the job and the task at hand, I've never seen it.
An apolitical entity that operates in government to service itself instead of the American people. What I mean by that is it's leadership positions across government, whether it's DOJ, FBI, DOD, CIA, whatever, combined with underlying positions that are pretty senior up, who work with mainstream media entities to perpetuate frauds on the American people, to commit government corruption, to stay in power and to lie to the American people and to rob them of the truth. That is the singular purpose of the deep state, because they think once the truth gets out, their corruption is going to be exposed. They might get prosecuted for breaking the law. And once that happens, you have an explosion in D.C.
Well, I want to dig in a little bit more on who exactly is it, but it just seems so well organized to me.
It is well organized, and that's why these coordinated efforts to destroy Trump have been, Pelosi famously called the Tea Party AstroTurf. You want to talk AstroTurf? Let's look at almost everything the Democrats have been up to for 30 years. And it would be one thing if the deep state was just working to make America awesome, making sure our dollar can purchase as many things as possible, and we're not slipping further and further into a bad recession scenario. Inflationary scenario where it's becoming increasingly impossible for people to pay their monthly bills. If they were keeping poisonous people out of our country, not a single rapist or murderers being let in, people with existing charges and criminal backgrounds and diseases, they're getting filtered out before they're even allowed to come in. And that immigration is a straightforward process of saying, yeah, I'll declare an allegiance to this country. I'll learn the English language. I'll back the Bill of Rights. I'll learn our history. I'll take the test. I'll go for X amount of years without committing crimes. I'll prove that I can earn money and not be a drain on the system. And if you pass all those things, you can be a citizen. Like, restoring common sense would be, it feels revolutionary, because everything has been so effing backwards for so many years. This is night and day difference. This is a complete 180 difference, going one direction and turning completely around and going back the other way. What do they say? No matter how long you've been traveling on the wrong path, it's never too late to go the opposite direction. I've read that statement articulated a little bit more succinctly and impactfully. But it's something along the lines like, it doesn't matter how long you've been on the wrong path. Every moment is a good time to stop going down the wrong path. Something like that.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It is organized. And these people all need to be rooted out. Rooted out. You have to dig all of it up and get all of the roots so it doesn't come back.
Oh. So who?
And this is the only chance you've ever seen in your lifetime to maybe accomplish some of this. I promise you, you've never seen an opportunity like this before. This is very unique.
Who's at the end of it? Is it a country?
Oh, are you going there?
Is it U.S. politicians?
Is it U.S. politicians? Is it a country? Who is behind it? Who's at the top of the pyramid, as they say?
Is it the World Economic Forum? Like, it's so well orchestrated, there has to be an organizer. And so, who is the organizer?
I don't think that there's one specific organizer.
Maybe there is, maybe there isn't.
I think there is a group of organizations that have participated in it for a while. The World Economic Forum is a piece of it. Certain politicians are a piece of it. Certain people who become AGs, directors of the FBI, directors of the CIA, etc., are a piece of it. And of course,
and this isn't, this is a good comment on the side. It's not just our country, it's all countries. So the battle over the AfD party taking control of Germany and fixing their immigration invasion, putting common sense into Viktor Orban and Brazil with Bolsonaro, and get rid of Lula, who was installed they're trying to go after Bolsonaro like they went after Trump. It's the same freaking playbook from the same demons, the same deep state dirtbags who try to ruin every country, try to fleece everybody of their national treasure. El Salvador, look at how they've turned things around in just a year or two. Everybody could have a sane experience on this planet if you didn't let the same cabal of people run everything.
mainstream media is a big component of it. All of those entities partner up together to take over Washington, D.C. And instead of doing the job for the American people, they come out instead, come up with government boondoggles that pay themselves billions and billions of dollars, or their friends billions and billions of dollars, which is our dollars. And they want to make sure that that keeps going over and over and over again. I'll give you a perfect example. Who cares if you've ever followed Russiagate or any of this other stuff about the deep state? Chris Wray, the director of the FBI, and Rod Rosenstein, the deputy attorney general then of the DOJ, were tasked with helping us at Congress, where I ran the Russiagate investigation, to expose Russiagate. We went to them and said, look, you guys didn't do this. Help us expose it. And they both doubled down. You know what they did? They launched an investigation against me, the senior congressional investigator for Russiagate on the House Intelligence Committee, and 6 other staffers. They used grand jury subpoenas to get my personal information, my banking information, my emails, my cell phone information, everything else. I didn't find out till 5 years later when Google called me and said, hey, our 5-year notification has lapsed. We can now tell you the DOJ surveilled you. And we had to turn over documents.
Yeah.
Let's get into.
They go after all their enemies, and it's just it's time to be bold. This is the best chance we've ever had to put sanity back into our lives. We have to go with everything we have. And never give up. Never give up. Here's President Trump reminding you.
I don't know if it's an ability or if you have it, just you can't quit. And I've seen people quitting. And if they would have held out longer, they would have been successful. I've seen it so much. I've seen some of the most brilliant people in the world that never made it because they were quitters. Never, ever quit.
I watched that yesterday, and I watched it today. Do you see that? I call them goosebumps. Makes the hair stand up on my arms. I've been running the New American Media for 14 years. booking guests, attending events, interviewing people, covering the news, doing sports, doing humor, doing politics, doing music, doing all sorts of things. And there have been a couple times where I've tried to take jobs and work a 40, 50, 60-hour work week and just put my head down and work. And I admit I was absolutely exhausted after the 2016 election. Absolutely exhausted. Defeating Hillary was something that took more out of me than I knew I had. I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't have anything else to give. And I admit I let up a little bit. So it was like, I did my part. I'm done. I'm tired. And I often wonder, like, why hasn't the new American media been more successful? And I could point to, look, Facebook kicked me off a couple days ago. Again, this some sort of two-factor authentication thing. I'm like, And like, no, I'm not downloading an app. And then the second option is like, all right, you can do SMS. But if you do SMS, you can't use your password from that device. And I'm like, well, wait, you're going to block me out of my own device? Because I don't even know what's going on, but they kicked me out. Instagram has flagged and censored and made sure that I haven't been able to have a reach on Instagram. X removed my ability to reach as many people as I could or would or should be. YouTube, oh, they definitely took my monetization away, limited my reach, started leaving weird comments and flagging innocuous video, taking down sports videos from 13 years ago. For like, we've been under attack by the deep state. We've been under attack by legacy media, the big tech agencies, in collusion with the federal government that didn't want independent organizations to succeed. And so without the budget and the team, it's like, I've had some great help from some great people and collaborative projects with several other people and great friends and advisors and helpers along the way. So let me say that straight off the bat. Like, I'm not going to try to say those people don't exist and that those people haven't assisted me. But by and large, this has been man, somebody is really thinking about me today. My nose is itching. Is that what that means? Somebody's writing a haiku about you? But this has largely been a labor of love, a solo project, and it gets tiring. And you say, well, where are the results? Where is the big break after all these years, all these interviews, all these shows? Where's the big break? Where's the big opportunity that pushes you into the next stratosphere? The thing that gets you onto the other things that leads to the other things. Maybe it was the TV show that I didn't end up getting with the BBC. It was going to be called Real American Conspiracy, myself and a friend of mine. And we were close, but BBC is a weird company. And I remember at our last meeting, they started asking about the politics, and they asked who I was voting for. I'm like, oh yeah, it's Trump. It's easy. It's not even, it's an easy choice. Like, their jaws dropped. Like, what? I'm like, oh boy, this might not be the right company to try to partner with. I met with a tax preparer that was recommended from someone, and they were so anti-MAGA. I'm like, I don't think we can do business. I don't think you would have my best interest in mind here. I don't know that I could trust you to be impartial and helpful. Like, if you don't like the core of the stuff where I'm coming from, like, I don't know that you'd be helpful in this role. You might need to look elsewhere. And so, yeah, that message from Trump about don't give up, like, it hits, because I'm like, God, how much more? This shit that I do doesn't pay the bills. And I have dumped everything that I am into this. Equipment, time, thousands of hours, energy, research, mental anguish and stress, frustration. Every one of you that help on Patreon or PayPal or Venmo or however you shoot donations over, like, that keeps me going. Like, we got another subscriber on Patreon the other day. I was like, all right, I don't know who this person is either. Somebody out there likes what we're doing. That's super cool. But it's just like, we don't get the reach. The content that we deliver doesn't go out to enough people to make a difference. And I know what we do makes a difference because I get messages from people. I got a message from somebody the other day. I can't access it because I'm blocked from Facebook now. But they said, the stuff you put out with the New American Media, he goes, I watch Fox News. He goes, 90% of the stuff you're covering, they're not even talking about. He goes, and your stories are way more important. He goes, you do the best job out of anybody I follow to let me know what's going on in the world. And I appreciate it. I'm like, fuck yeah, thank you. You know, it's like, it's been said that men can live off of a single compliment for a very long time. Off of one reoccurring donation for a long time. Anyway, that clip hits. I've been on nationally syndicated radio programs, television shows, this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, all right, well, when is the break? When is the break happening? And when the break doesn't come, when you don't get a follow-up opportunity, like all right, this turned into that. I just had the conversation yesterday with my dad talking about my stand-up. I've been doing stand-up comedy now. I've done maybe 6 stand-up sets in the last 3 weeks. And I said, you know, it's very similar to with my band when our band would play. Every show led to another show. Somebody in the crowd was like, oh, that's great. Can I book you at this thing? Or, hey, my band loved playing with you on this set. Can you open up for us at another upcoming show? Like, yeah, as long as we can bring you in to open up for our crowd. You know, like something usually leads to something else. And I'm waiting for that here at the New American Media. And I would never quit. But being outspoken might have been the thing that got me removed from the last job opportunity that I had. When I had my head down, was just trying to work and more or less keep to myself. Everything I put out was being censored. Nobody's seeing it. I'm getting demonetized, getting shadow banned, getting independent fact checkers. Bullshit. They were never independent. They were always deep state actors running cover for the deep state Democrats and the Rhino Republicans, the Cheney's Kinsingers. And I have a strong hunch that I ended up leaving that last place because someone in charge there took a look into me and said, oh, you're not my kind of person. I'm going to get rid of you. Even though you're the number one guy at this company. You're the number one guy in this department. Yeah, I'd rather have you gone. Okay. And so I just kind of vacillate back and forth between, is this the thing I'm supposed to be doing or is there something else I'm supposed to be doing? But when you hear this from President Trump, I mean...
I don't know if it's an ability or if you have it, just you can't quit. And I've seen people quitting. And if they would have held out longer, they would have been successful. I've seen it so much. I've seen some of the most brilliant people in the world that never made it because they were quitters. Never, ever quit.
Never, ever quit. Maybe the best video on the internet right now.
If you get long-term payments, but you need cash now. JG Wentworth, 877 cash now.
Kash Patel.
877 cash now.
Elizabeth Warren with her headdress.
877 cash now.
877 cash now.
Oh, this might be the best video on the internet right now. Yeah, this might be the best. I hope you enjoyed that. This is Kramer saying how I'm feeling. Do you agree with this guy?
It's time for a lot of you to sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up. We did your plan for 4 years. We toughed it out. What did we get for it? Out of control inflation and $9 eggs that you're conveniently blaming on Trump. Then it comes to corruption. Well, what do we get there? Well, it's corrupt. What Musk is doing is corrupt. Don't talk to me about corrupt. Your boy Joe gave his son a 10-year pardon, gave other Republicans and Democrats with inside his administration pardons. You have no authority when it comes to corruption. So that's why I say, with all my heart, it's time for you to sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up.
You're watching the Kramer Says Project.
It's time. It's time for a lot of you to...
Yeah. They didn't win. We don't want to hear it. Sit down. We hate you. We hate your policies. We hate your policies. You've been brainwashed. If you can come back from the dark side, we'd gladly welcome you in the MAGA team. We don't hate them. We hate these policies and these goofy ass backward talking points. That's what we hate. Truth Politica is saying here that perfect timing. FBI investigation has uncovered 256 emails between Adam Schiff and Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know if this is confirmed. And so I'm going to ask that. Is this confirmed? I don't know. Not familiar with Truth Politica. I would like to see this link to an article somewhere unraveling that. So in the absence of it, I'm going to be a little skeptical. Heck yeah, I voted for this, and it's better than I expected. I'm going to say this is way better than expected. Anyone else agree? You're damn right I voted for this. All right, who did this? Who did this? Being a libertarian did this. And it's a picture. It's a picture of Apu Nahasapima Petalan at the top of the Quickie Mart with his rifle. And they're saying, this is Kash Patel demonstrating how to defend your business during riots under his tenure as FBI director. That is wild. Who did this? LOL. I mean, come on. Daniel here. Can't click on it. Says, I don't want a one-time $5,000 Doge dividend check. I want the IRS to be abolished forever, and I want to end the federal income tax and the federal property tax, or the property tax. That's it. I don't want a $5,000 check. End the IRS, end federal income tax, and end property tax. That's it. Anyone else agree? By the way, here's a flashback. Remember who we defeated on the way to getting President Trump right here.
I'm sorry, Mr. Vice President. Have you? I know you're running for president. You are distressed that the Ukrainians don't have enough American tanks. Every city in the United States has become much worse over the past 3 years. Yeah. Drive around. There's not one city that's gotten better in the United States. Right. And it's visible. Our economy has degraded. The suicide rate has jumped. Public filth and disorder and crime have exponentially increased. Right. And yet, your concern is that the Ukrainians, a country most people can't find on a map, who've received tens of billions of U.S. tax dollars, don't have enough tanks. Right. I think it's a fair question to ask, like, where's the concern for the United States in that?
Well, it's not my concern.
I'm sorry, Mr. Vice.
It's not my concern. It's not my concern. Okay, and I'm going to say, remember what we had to defeat in order to get MAGA 2.0. Thank you, Tucker. Thank you. How about this one? Imagine, if you will, a government so corrupt it tries to convince the people that accountability is illegal. It's great to emerge from the Obama doctrine. Twilight Zone. A government so corrupt it tries to convince the people that accountability is illegal. That's where we're at. See that? So grateful I'm not a brainwashed anti-American liberal piece of shit. This shared from the typical liberal account. Look at that sign. Where can we order these signs? I don't know. I'd order one of these signs. So according to Breitbart here, GOP lawmakers have introduced bills to make North Carolina the 30th constitutional carry state. But we're saying that's not good enough. All 50 states need this. We need reciprocity. States don't trump our Second Amendment. They have no right. We need nationwide reciprocity. States cannot trump and violate our Second Amendment. Hashtag shall not be infringed. Post. Did it work? Yeah, we need nationwide reciprocity, though. It's a good start. 30 states. That's 60% of our nation, but we're not quite there yet. Have you experienced this where you try to have a conversation about diversity, equity, inclusion? These are the nicest sounding words, sort of, unless you actually really think about what you're saying and what it means. Oh, everybody, equity, everyone, it's equal. Everyone needs to be equal. We all need to be equal. Everyone deserves a shot. Everyone should have a chance. Well, like, yeah, no. Let's think about it. I do not deserve the right to fly the airplane. I don't know how to fly an airplane. Yeah, but it's equity. Everybody deserves it. No, I don't. I need to go through the training and become one of the best and get selected and earn it. DEI, didn't earn it. That's what it means. So he's kind of breaking down the importance here. Whoop.
Inclusion or DEI training is far from the feel-good story its advocates push. A study by Rutgers University that was brought to light by Cremu reveals that these programs, which claim to foster inclusion, are instead breeding division, paranoia, and hostility. Rather than encouraging understanding, DEI training primes participants to see bias where none exists, and worse, pushes them to punish others for their delusions of racism. In these studies, participants read either DEI content from authors like Ibram X. Kendi and Robin DiAngelo, or neutral information about corn. After reading these two very different priming pieces, they were asked to evaluate a neutral scenario, a university admissions rejection completely devoid of racial context. The results were concerning. Those exposed to the DEI materials prior imagined discrimination, microaggressions, and bias. They wanted apologies, demanded disciplinary action, and even endorsed firing the admissions officer, all based on their imagined version of events. This pattern held across other topics as well. Those primed with DEI rhetoric didn't just perceive bias, they demanded retribution.
They find it everywhere. They get brainwashed, manipulated. It causes brain damage. Permanent victimhood mentality. Retribution, it makes you angry. People owe me things. I need vengeance on the bad guys. That's the Obama doctrine. That's what they've been pushing for 20 years.
They even endorsed explicitly hostile statements against entire groups they deemed to be privileged.
Yep. How dare they have a privilege? And then they take these racist biases with them every place they go in life. So if the straight white Christian man is the problem, then you start looking at anybody who's not a straight white Christian man that's been indoctrinated for decades by these educators, indoctrinators, pushing this deep state divisive Democrat plan. And now, maybe for the first time ever, you look at anyone who isn't like you and you're like, I wonder if this person has it out for me. A lot of them do, because a lot of them have been victim of this manipulation by Obama's deep state, the Obama doctrine, the education industrial complex, educational indoctrination complex.
Ironically, a program claiming to foster empathy and tolerance has bred zealots who see oppression in every corner and believe they are righteous in demanding punishment.
Righteous to demand punishment. You see this all throughout the left.
This is the dark side of DEI. Rather than creating a more inclusive society, it's manufacturing ideological inquisitors, people trained to punish those who don't delude themselves. DEI is nothing more than a witch hunt for imagined racism. The truth about...
Bravo. That is really well said. Also well said. Frankie Brown. Hello, Frankie. Saying, I'd be happy with no IRS. I'm not going to bore you with my story, but I've been waiting 4 years to resolve something. I've done everything asked. I've submitted all the stuff in quadruplicate 10 times over. No accountability, no follow-up, no follow-through. It's like I'm living in a freaking cuckoo clock. Every system in this country needs to be redesigned. Our voting tabulation systems, IRS, either reform it or eliminate it. And what are we doing here? We didn't used to have an IRS, and we functioned just fine. We can find ways to function. Oh, goodness. Yeah, this is the way. Do you agree or disagree? She whispers into his ear. How about no Doge dividend payouts for America-hating commie leftists? I apologize to any of you out there that just got creeped out by me whispering like it's one of those sensory videos. What are those things called? The like the mukbang videos. What are they called? Like the sensory videos where it's like you hear all the noises and it's all about the sound and they whisper. And there you go, goosebumps when you say that. How about no Doge dividend payouts for America-hating commie leftists? There, I'm going to ask. This is the way. Agree or disagree? Once again, all right, there's a second reference of goosebumps. I referenced it with Donald Trump saying, don't quit, don't ever quit. And then right there. How about this? We are on the best timeline. Look at this one. FAFO. F around and find out. 2020, 21, 22, 23, and now in 2025, you are finding out. You were here. This is glorious. They're about to find out. Now that we have our teams assembled, it is glorious. Oh, there's music behind this. Do I dare play it? How will President Trump deport illegals so quickly? Here's the answer.
And I will promise you that the full might of the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, the Department of Defense, and every element and instrument of national power will be used to remove, with speed, all criminal illegals from the soil of the United States of America, to enforce final removal orders, and to ensure that this country is for American citizens and those who legally belong in this country. We inherited an ICE that was completely shuttered. We inherited a Department of Homeland Security whose sole mission was to resettle illegal aliens within the United States of America. In 30 days, the president sealed the border shut, declared the cartels to be terrorist organizations.
Declaring them to be terrorist organizations is massive. Wait till you see what comes next.
Has increased ICE deportations.
And I'm just wondering, doggone it, if they're going to flag this video for copyright because Ted Nugent's Stranglehold happens to be playing in the background of this. I really just want to hear what he has to say. We've got to fix our copyright laws on YouTube.
To levels not...
I mean, that energy feels so damned good. Yeah, it feels good to have adults in charge for the first time in our lives, doesn't it? A little bit more on Kash Patel. This one here from David Nino Rodriguez Boxer. Nino Boxer. You think everything is moving fast now? Kash Patel is about to bring this to a whole different level. The investigations are done. It's now just about showing the public so they can move forward on the arrests. The deep state knows this, which is why they delay. It won't matter. the hammer is going to drop, and I'm betting cleanup on aisle 9 will take just a few short months. Trump is not effing around. Grabs popcorn, smiles widely, and there we go, button. Doing all the buttons. Grabs popcorn and smiles widely button. I'm here for it. I'm here for the show. We've literally waited our entire lives to indict these traitors already. Buckle up, traitors. There's a service member from up above. That's Trump. And then they see them dropping an explosive device. There goes a grenade all the way down onto the deep state. Kaboom goes the deep state dynamite. How do you spell dynamite? D-Y-N-O-M-I-T-E. Dynamite. I spelled it right. D-Y-N-O-M-I-T-E. Yeah, whatever. Kaboom goes the deep state dynamite. All right. Look, I shared this. There's a colleague, an acquaintance that I know, a friend. I've been with him to a couple of different events. He shares a different worldview, and he's been embedded in Ukraine, so he's invested there. And this is the other side. Let's talk about it. Do you agree or disagree with this guy's thoughts? I'm not familiar with who this guy is, or Kasich Gundy. People. Well, let's just listen to this thought, and I'd be curious to get your opinions here.
This comment is one of my pet hates, with what I hate seeing so many times when I go into comment sections and I see people with like no grasp on reality. He is correct. There were elections in World War II. However, what he's referring to is America, who held elections. And as we all know, if you know your history, the closest thing that America ever had during World War II was the Japanese weather balloon that flew over part of America.
No, there were plenty of ships being sunk. There was stuff. There were attacks off the Atlantic. There was way more going on. Full stop. That's not. I mean, I get what he's trying to say. It's not like it was a ground invasion in America, but there were definitely attacks happening to America.
However, if you were to then look at both France and Britain, you would quickly realize that they didn't have elections, and that is for very good reason. Britain, for example, was being hit daily with air raids by the German Luftwaffe, as well as being hit with V1 and V2 rockets. And not only that, they were also on the doorstep of awaiting invasion by the German military. Winston Churchill himself made sure to cancel the elections, because why would you do that when there's everything else that's threatening your country right now? There's no logical sense to hold elections in those types of situations, and everything that Zelensky is doing right now, it's all supported by Parliament. They reconvene every few months. I think it's every 30 days or 60 days to vote on whether to extend the martial law or to cancel it. And there's bipartisan support for the martial law being extended for very obvious reasons. Ukraine is being hit daily all across the country with missiles, drones, and then obviously you've got your frontline areas. How can the full voter base take part in these elections?
How could the full voter base take part in these elections? Okay, I mean, that's kind of a fair point.
When the majority of the voter base of the male population is currently on the front line fighting to defend Ukraine.
But they're also being exploded at such massive rates that the people are asking, can't we end this already? Why didn't we already end this? Why did it escalate to this point? The air quote leadership of Zelensky. I mean, I read a report 2 days ago saying that had they declared a ceasefire at the first opportunity to declare the ceasefire, they wouldn't have lost any land. They would have hardly lost any lives. They could have just, all right, we got stung by the scorpion. We pushed too far. We got too close. We got stung. Let's call it a day and stop this. All right, now this is escalated. Let's dial it back. But Zelensky listened to Victoria Nuland, Barack Hussein Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden. Because once again, this is going all the way back, John Kerry. This is going back to 2014, 2013, 2014. You're on 11 years of this. Yeah, the war has been going on for 2 years, roughly. But this is a 10-year problem, an 11-year problem, 12-year problem. Zelensky has sided with the people who have caused so much damage here. There were other off-ramps instead of where we find ourselves now. And it's fair to ask the people of Ukraine to say, hey, do you trust the leadership of the person that steered us into this current quagmire? Or do you think a different approach would be suitable to ending this? Yeah, those people are on the front lines and they're fighting. You run votes to them and you get the votes and you run them back. I don't know. I don't know that this current path is sustainable. It doesn't seem sustainable at all. And my heart breaks for anybody that's died in this conflict. I wish it never started to begin with.
How can they set up a mechanism to safely conduct these elections when Russia is indiscriminately targeting locations across Ukraine?
I mean, indiscriminately is a loaded word there, but...
So, people choose to ignore the truth because of their own country's experience. This common...
Anyway, I'm just putting it out there for you. That'll be a question of the day. This dude has a problem with people saying, you know, oh, well, the U.S. had elections during World War II. Why is Zelensky afraid to? Well, is he polling at 4%? That's the stories we're hearing. And if he's polling at 4%, no wonder he doesn't want to hold an election. Trudeau tried to run some stunts again to delay elections, and he's finally like, I read the writing on the wall. I'm going to lose 95-5. If Zelensky's polling at 5%, that sounds like what Trudeau was doing, polling at 5%. People hate the deep state because they hate us. We know it intrinsically. Any of the support that gets you from 5% to 20%, you know, it's unions and groups and AstroTurf mobs and protest organizations and NGO funded. It's all AstroTurfed. It's obvious to see out of 20 issues, you go, well, yeah, 19 of those are pretty much spot on. Or 19 of those issues are pretty much completely backward. No thanks. That's why Trudeau doesn't really want elections. That's why Trudeau doesn't really want a fair accounting of what the people are thinking. Same as Zelensky. So I don't know. Give me your thoughts. Maybe I'm missing something here. Did John put this out here? I saw this clip and it just reminded me of, this is the Obama doctrine. This is what happens when you have educators, indoctrinators pumping poison into the minds of people and they spit this racist crap out.
Us as black women, age reminds me a lot of you. Like, you say you're not really about me. And she knows how her privilege has gotten her to that point. And also, like, she's good at basketball, obviously. Like, she understands her privilege and like, pushes her over the top in a sense.
Yeah, she's good at basketball or whatever, but we all know that it's her privilege that's gotten her this far. I'm so tired, bro. I'm so tired. Listen, we can continue to make fun of the WNBA salary all we want, but in reality, you're still getting 70, 80K a year to play ball worse than 12-year-olds at the rec center. I would put my life savings on some random 65-year-old dude named Samson at the YMCA if he's
Some random 65-year-old dude named Samson at the YMCA.
Going against you, and yet he's there and you're here. How is that not privilege? Paige Bucker's parents got divorced when she was like 3 years old, and she grew up going to public schools. Asia Wilson grew up in a 2-parent household. Asia Wilson's parents played basketball professionally. Asia Wilson.
And Asia Wilson's parents have a real nice marriage.
Grew up going to private schools, and she went D1, most likely as a result of having access to some of the best basketball training that anybody could ask for. But according to Asia, this is privilege and this is hard work. I'm telling you, this is the cycle. This is the cycle. Hear me out. Treat people like shit, be a narcissist, assume things about people that you do not know, get away with it because of your race, and we live in a pandering society. The average person does not respect you. Blame the lack of respect on racism and misogyny. And then it goes round and round until you're 60 years old, either single or in an unhappy marriage, binging Dr. Umar videos, wondering, why does nobody like me? I'll tell you why. And it's not because of your race. It's because you spent 20 years of your career yapping. You're not an activist, you're a racial narcissist.
Damn. I don't really know Paige Buckers. I don't really know the WNBA, but yeah, that type of racist thoughts and all this privilege crap, like it is so toxic. It is poison. I say this all the time. I don't have a child yet. I did foster my neighbor. And he's a 10-year-old black boy in Los Angeles. I went from having no kids to now I'm trying to do my best to help a 10-year-old black child succeed and get through that stage of his life. And, I went to his school and I saw what the Marxist fists, the communist fist flags and rainbow flags and Africa flags. And what'd you do today? Oh, we read Dr. Seuss. I go, oh. I'm like, I don't know. Is that what you do at 10 years old? I don't know. What books did you read? Oh, we didn't read books. We read articles about Dr. Seuss. You read articles about Dr. Seuss. All right. Well, what was that about? There were articles talking about how Dr. Seuss is racist. They're messing with the brains of 10-year-olds, pumping them full of poison. And I said, buddy, you cannot carry a victim mentality anywhere in life. I go, I don't know what you've been told. I don't know all the stuff that people have told you, but you are singly responsible for your success and your failures in life. If you bust your ass, do well in school, you get a degree, you get training, you decide a career path, you start working hard, you're going to succeed. And there's nobody that's going to get in your way if you're a badass. Conversely, if you fail, it's not because of everybody else, it's because of you. And a lazy work ethic and making excuses. Trying to play the victim. Nobody wants to hear anybody play the victim. And they've trained kids to be soft. They've trained kids to be malleable, ashamed, angry, bitter, everything but productive. So for the brief time that I tried to help this young man on his journey, that's the message I tried to give him. Hopefully some of that stuck, and hopefully he succeeds and has a great, awesome life. It doesn't matter how of course it matters how you grew up. Like, don't get me wrong. But at some point, you say, all right, well, that's the way things used to be. The way things are now is that I'm in charge of my reality. Let's go. That's it. Go. Yeah, but this and yeah, but that. Nope. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. All I care about is your success. So why don't you get to the successful parts? Yeah, well, you don't understand. I don't care. All I care about is you succeeding. So let's focus on you succeeding. Yeah, but last year you don't understand. It doesn't matter if I don't understand. This year, you're going to understand. It's the poisonous teaching, indoctrination from these schools and creating this stuff is mind-boggling. So that was an interesting clip about the WNBA right there. Commie gibberish of the day. It says, we aren't funding your wars anymore. Arm yourselves. So this lady, Sarah, says, oh, wait, hold on. Okay, I think it goes Andrew. Yeah. So Andrew said, the United States has become the enemy of the free world. Americans need to accept that. And if they do not like it, you have to do something about it. You're on the wrong side of history. You're one of the bad guys now. And Sarah says, that's how Europeans react to being told that the U.S. isn't going to fund 70% of their defense unless they stop jailing people for mean tweets. Restore freedom of speech everywhere. Button. Yeah, we're not funding your wars anymore. Arm yourselves. Deal with it. Alex for California 30. Alex Balekian. says, how do you define abject failure? All right, we're talking about success and failure here. In-N-Out Burgers, a quintessentially Californian institution that is still family-owned, is relocating its corporate offices to Tennessee. There are no In-N-Out locations in Tennessee. This move was not driven by a desire to be close to the brick-and-mortar stores. The original and soon-to-be downsized corporate headquarters are in Baldwin Park, 1 mile away from their very first In-N-Out. This move was instead forced by the anti-business climate created by far-left progressive politicians who espouse socialist mediocrity over entrepreneurial ingenuity. Wake up, moderate Democrats. You need to wrest the pendulum from your far-left comrades, and you cannot do it without outside help. And pay attention, moderate Republicans. The Golden State is up for grabs again, and we cannot let the socially conservative wing of the party commandeer the messaging from the fiscally conservative wing. Keep the messaging simple. Focus on public safety. Stay out of my bank account. Stay out of my personal decisions. This sounds like some of the best free MAGA-centric consulting services that we've ever seen. Stay fiscally conservative. Pro-capitalist. Fiscally conservative, socially libertarian, and pro-capitalist to succeed. Also, you need to fix your voting laws, though. Way too much potential fraud with the machines. Mail-in ballots and non-citizen CITIZEN votes. There you go. That's well said, though. Oh, okay. There's actually a little bit more. We can infer from In-N-Out's move to shutter its OC headquarters, consolidating part of its staff to the original Baldwin Park headquarters and relocating the remaining staff to Tennessee. The OC headquarters were opened in 1994 at a time when In-N-Out was rapidly expanding, not only to Northern California, but also to Nevada in 92, Arizona in 2000, Texas in 2011, Oregon in 15, Colorado in 20. In other words, the OC headquarters were opened to manage growth beyond the capabilities of the original and smaller Baldwin Park headquarters. But to oversee the expansion of 35 new locations in Tennessee, why would In-N-Out decrease the number of corporate employees in California? A clue lies in In-N-Out's first ever closure of a store. Listen to this. In-N-Out's first ever closure of a store in its 75 years of business in Oakland in 2024. I cite this all the time. If California can kill an unkillable company, well, that's tough. If California can kill an unkillable company, that's hard to say. Tongue twister. Yeah, Jokeland. They pushed out the Raiders, the Golden State Warriors, and the Giants, or the A's. Oakland needs a takeover. Oakland needs home rule restored. Alex continues, the answer is simple. In-N-Out has an excellent business model that it's applying nationwide, but the profitability of its California stores is decreasing because of higher costs of business. In-N-Out does not want to pass on all these increased costs to its customers with increased prices on its menu items. Also because of the criminality, the out-of-control California criminality. I'm adding that. The management of the out-of-state stores will likely transition to the Tennessee offices, and the Oakland closure just might be the tip of the iceberg in this failed California progressive experiment. Moderate Democrats and independents and Republicans, if you value your local In-N-Out burger, it's time to vote differently. We need to recruit and nurture more fiscally conservative, socially moderate candidates from the community. Well said. Always remember this. Anti-State put this out. The IRS hires How about 100,000 agents to dig through $600 Venmo deals, chasing pocket change and taxes, while billions of dollars, maybe trillions, have disappeared without a trace? Zero accountability. Just government doing what it does best, blowing your money like a White House intern in a blue dress. Ooh. That last part sounds like a haiku. Like a wonderful government haiku. Zero accountability, just government doing what it does best, blowing your money like a White House intern in a blue dress. Senator John Kennedy here, just reminding you, the money that pays for illegal immigrants' benefits didn't fall from heaven. It came out of Americans' pockets. Under President Trump, America is done rewarding lawbreakers. Talking about California, here's what Shark Tank's Kevin O'Leary is talking about. Federal aid to California, well...
Give me 30 seconds.
And Bass, I think every taxpayer in America, including those in California, would like to tie this aid to removing Newsom and Bass. Now, gone. Part of the deal would be, and I know Trump likes new ideas, here's one, not a dime until those two are whacked from their jobs immediately. They are so incompetent, and all of the decisions they've made led to this, and they're still making mistakes. They're horrific managers. Whack them.
Give me 30 seconds.
And Bass, I think every tax...
There you go. Let's say California deserves better. But also we said, now California needs a MAGA revolution to make a bold course correction towards sanity and competence. California deserves better. Having lived there for a while. Yeah. How about this? Jesse Waters reporting on $2 billion to Stacey Abrams' nonprofit climate organization.
Stacey Abrams is about to get doged. Right after she lost her last election, she started a climate group with a bunch of other people. You know, if you're a Democrat, gotta have a climate charity. Well, it started out with just $100. Couldn't raise a penny. Then Biden comes in and voila, they donate $2 billion to this brand new group. What does Stacey Abrams know about the climate? She's an erotic thriller writer who lives outside of Atlanta. Has Stacey Abrams ever even gone hiking? I don't know. She just doesn't strike me as a nature enthusiast.
Oh, Jesse.
Did Stacey Abrams plant any trees with the money? Did she pick up any litter? Well, we can't find any evidence that this group did anything for the climate. Trump's guys are trying to claw back the cash, but that is a lot of money. And this is how the game works. Democrats launch 501c3s. Their friends in D.C. send them our money, and then they hire their cousins, pay all themselves fat salaries, and use the money to travel first class, of course, to climate summits and pay Al Gore to speak at their events. Everywhere you look in Washington are deals like this.
Waste is pretty much everywhere. People ask, like, how can you find waste in D.C.? I'm like, look, it's like being in a room, and this target, the wall, the roofs, and the floor are all targets. So it's like, you're going to close your eyes and go shoot in any direction. you can't miss.
Stacey Abrams is about to get doged. Right after she lost her last election.
The clip again there. Yeah. Uncover all the fraud.
So
more Elon talking about elections now.
Looks like Elon found out that the Democrats were making our elections fraudulent, just like Trump said they were. Anyways, watch this.
The Biden administration was pushing to get in as many illegals as possible and spend every dollar possible to get as many, because every one of them is a customer, every one is a voter. So they're flying illegals into the swing states, and you fly 200,000 illegals into that state. It's not going to be a swing state for long. And so the whole thing was a giant voter importation scam. I think a lot of people don't quite appreciate that this was an actual real scam at scale to tilt the scales of democracy in America.
Yes.
Treason.
So it looks like Elon found out that the Democrats were making our...
It's the Obama doctrine. Flood sovereign nations with non-residents. Callie Fontanilla says, 11... This is for perspective. Think about this. And, you know, you can check the stats, if these stats are accurate or not. I'm open to some of that, but we know certain things are happening. Certain things are occurring on the global stage that would make you feel gross. 11 million today, 11 million people in India and 7 million people in Africa are slaves today. At slavery's peak in the United States around 1860, there were approximately 4 million slaves. Yet the left doesn't care about the far worse crisis happening right now in modern day. Why? Because the people harvesting their cocoa for chocolate bars, many of them children, and mining cobalt for their electric cars aren't enslaved by white folks. Yeah, it's always a great strategy to get up in arms when you can pin the tail on Whitey. But why the radio silence on this issue? It's very interesting. It doesn't fit the narrative, so they ignore it. Instead, they throw fits of rage, demanding reparations for something that ended 160 years ago, while turning a blind eye to the fact that slavery is even worse today. In the comment section here, she says, they want to keep Black Americans mentally enslaved by pushing a victim narrative. All right, yeah, that's exactly what we were talking about. And let's be honest, some people love playing the victim, blaming society for all their problems instead of taking responsibility for their own actions. But what happens when this mindset infects almost an entire race? You get a group of people with the highest crime rates, highest abortion rates, and highest poverty rates in the greatest country on earth. Meanwhile, immigrants from other countries who look just like them come here and thrive. Did you know that 26% of Nigerians in America hold a master's degree or higher? Compare that to just 11% of the general U.S. population. If America were really built to hold Black people down, why are Black immigrants achieving so much success? I know why, Callie Fontana says. They don't adhere to the toxic victim mindset and instead take advantage of living in the land of opportunity. Well said. So when the mainstream media, when the lying legacy media, public school indoctrinators posing as teachers, and deep state, dirty, divisive Democrat politicians, I tweaked those a little, and even their own family members constantly fill us with how hard it is to be Black in America, this is the real internalized oppression that we must reject. No more handouts, no more racist DEI, no more constantly blaming white people for everything wrong with Black America, no more cherry picking our nation's history to only paint one narrative. This all needs to end in order for us to move on. It's time. Bravo. Thank you for saying all of this. It's time to thrive in the golden age of MAGA. It's time for everyone to thrive in the golden age of MAGA. Well said. That's a good perspective. Here's Pete Hegseth talking about transparency.
Greetings once again from the Defense Department. You, the American people, work really hard to support the men and women in uniform who keep our country safe. We, in turn, owe you transparency on what we're doing to accomplish our core mission, which is securing the nation and spending your taxpayer dollars, ours, wisely. We're going to shoot straight with you. We want you, the American people, the taxpayers, to understand why we're making the decisions that we're making here. First and foremost, as we're executing as quickly as possible the priorities of President Donald Trump. Achieving peace through strength, restoring the warrior ethos, rebuilding our military, and reestablishing deterrence. Those are no-brainers, and the American...
We are getting such a different leadership style now. Under Biden, they just kept everything hidden. Biden hardly ever came out to do anything. They'd occasionally pump him full of something and come out and give some crazy wild-eyed speech about Trump being a dictator. Nut job. But now, I mean, Kristi Noem is out there giving reports, and Pete Hegseth is out there giving reports, and Donald Trump is almost every day, and Elon is out there every day. This is the most transparent administration in history. They're telling you exactly what the game plan is and exactly what they're doing. Meanwhile, Biden, being controlled by Soros and Obama, they've been running all of these covert operations from behind the scenes, lying to your face while they're looting the country like a bunch of maggots feasting off of a carcass in the field.
People gave a mandate to President Trump, and through him to us, to double down on those priorities, and that's exactly what we're doing. Now, the legacy media has, of course, a different agenda. You see the same clickbait headlines that I do. Time after time, the media distorts good news stories or often just gets them flat wrong. In many cases, well, in most cases, they have an agenda. Other times, they are just lazy, as they often are, and they don't take time to actually understand the facts. I encourage you to take that media, those negative reports about important decisions that we're making at the department, with a gigantic grain of salt, please. Ever since I've taken this position, the only thing I care about is doing right by the warfighters, by the troops. In short, we want the biggest, most badass military on the planet, on God's green earth. I'm in this room right now, but I'm not alone. Behind the camera are lots of vets and military family members, along with other people who, like you, are invested in exactly what that core mission is. So when we make decisions that are misreported in the media, we're going to try to get to you as quickly as possible. And not just me, it'll be other people as well. So you understand the real thought process behind them and then how they relate to our core mission of fighting and winning war, hopefully deterring them, but fighting and winning wars.
Hopefully you deter more wars than you get involved with. That's was it Sun Tzu? The best way to win a conflict is to avoid it, something like that.
And then how we spend your taxpayer dollars wisely to accomplish that mission. So to that end, we have 3 stories that have come out, stay with me, 3 stories over the past couple of days that I want to update you on. The first is Doge. They're here and we're welcoming them. In fact, right over there, about 20 minutes ago, I just met with them. And we're going to be incorporating into what we're doing at DOD, everything they're doing to find fraud, waste, and abuse.
And they're not wasting their energy on racist DEI stuff. It's about competence and excellence. That's it. Everybody from every walk of life is welcome to be awesome in this administration.
In the largest
competency
discretionary budget in the federal government. They're going to have broad access. Obviously, with all the safeguards on classification, they know that. Many of them are vets. They care just like we do. To find the redundancies and identify the last vestiges of Biden priorities, the DEI, the woke, the climate change BS, that's not core to our mission.
Not core to the mission at all. It's not even secondary.
And we're going to get rid of it all. With Doge, we're focusing as much as we can on headquarters and fat and redundancies and top-line stuff that allows us to reinvest elsewhere. We welcome Doge, and finding those efficiencies is how we save taxpayer dollars. That is a good thing that, of course, is being distorted through the media, their hyperventilation, and it just goes entirely unreported for the most part. Now, the second story in the news is our work reorienting the budget that we inherited. We inherited that budget 1 month ago from the Biden administration. We are refocusing, that's a key word, our existing budget away from the Biden priorities that, frankly, were all over the map to President Trump's priorities of building a lethal fighting force. The media wants to call these exclusively cuts, but it's the opposite, of course, as always is the case. I've got the memo right here. It's clear as a bell. Now, beginning right away, we are pulling around 8% or $50 billion from the Biden budget. We're planning, this is planning for this year.
By the way, they also removed CNN from the Pentagon. Big move, good move.
That we will move away from woke Biden-era non-lethal programs and instead spend that money on President Trump's America First, peace through strength priorities for our national budget. First of all, remember, this is all planning. We're asking the services to plan. So it's not a cut. It's refocusing and reinvesting existing funds into building a force that protects you, the American people. We also list on page 2, which I've marked up here in our memo, what is not part of the 8% refocusing of funds.
And this is, you know, you got to go to the source sometimes when you're hearing all types of rampant speculation. It's really important to go to the source and get better information. These directors are going right to making statements and telling you what's happening instead of obfuscating and hiding it, running surreptitious programs behind your back. Sneaky.
It's stated very clearly here. Southwest border activities, combating transnational criminal organizations, an audit, nuclear modernization, Virginia-class submarines, the Golden Dome or Iron Dome, one-way.
Golden Dome. Oh, a Golden Dome for the Golden Age. A good question on the side. Did anyone ever see one video with Lloyd Austin speaking directly to the American public?
Attack drones, UAVs, cybersecurity, core readiness, training, the defense industrial base, and it goes on. They and other key programs are off the table under this program. They're too important, as are many other things. So this is great news for taxpayers and for our national security. That's a full stop. We'll just put a period on that one. And the third and final bogus story that is out there is around our reevaluation of our probationary workforce. Now, this is part of something that was mandated by an executive order from the president. Remember, President Trump was elected. He has the prerogative to advance executive orders. Our job is to follow them, and we're doing that. This reevaluation of probationary employees is being done across government, not just at the Defense Department, but we believe in the goals of the program, and our leaders are carrying out that review carefully and swiftly. Now, bottom line, it is simply not in the public interest to retain individuals whose contributions are not mission critical and to restore accountability within the federal workforce. Taxpayers deserve to have us take a really thorough look at our workforce top to bottom, and it will be top to bottom, to see where we can find and eliminate redundancies. Now, common sense would tell us where we should start, right? We start with poor performers amongst our probationary employees because that is common sense and you want the best and brightest. So when you look at headcount, we're going to be thoughtful, but we're also going to be aggressive up and down the chain to find the places where we can ensure the best and brightest are promoted based on merit. And then we're going to go out, we're going to put out a hiring freeze and take more time to identify on a performance-based standard who we're going to hire and reward hard-working employees who are central to the core warfighting mission. So we're going to take a little bit more time, make sure top to bottom we're doing a review. Those who we need, who are the best and brightest, are going to stay. Those who are underperformers won't.
And that's what usually happens when there's some sort of managerial change anywhere.
We'll continue to shoot straight with you. We've got your back. We're motivated to rebuild the most capable military in the world. That's why I'm here. That's what the president has asked me to do. But doing so does require tough decisions.
There we go.
And we are prepared to make them. But in the process, we want to communicate with you directly rather than through the filter of media outlets. And it's not just going to be me.
Yeah, you got to bypass the media outlets. Just release your statements in the way that you want it covered. Don't let them twist and take things out, and then you spend half of your press conference chasing straw men. Now you're just spending your time and energy. Your focus is off. Now you're running around trying to defend yourself against misguided BS talking points and deep state Democrat gotcha moments. Just release your own messages. Release a lot of them and be crystal clear. This comment here says liberals are going to be big mad over these truth talking points. Easily understandable and straightforward.
We're going to see Sean Parnell and Graham Allen and others here in the department aggressively ensuring you get the real info in real time, helping you understand what's really going on at the department. So our warfighters and taxpayers deserve, of course, no less than that. And we'll keep reporting back to you from time to time what we're seeing, and we appreciate your support. We're not going to get everything perfect, but we're going to do it earnestly. And we're going to do it on behalf of President Trump's leadership in making.
Nobody gets everything perfect. And that's where I've drawn a line with the media. I've always understood that people can get stories wrong. The part I don't understand is when they're intentionally trying to treat me like I'm an infant, like I'm a child, like I'm a dipshit, like I'm stupid. You start doing that stuff, I'm done. I'm not listening to you anymore. Or I will only listen to you to hear what the wrong side of things is trying to put out there in the universe. And that can be incredibly helpful. If you want to know what's going on, look at the 10, 20, 30 worst people in government. Say, well, if they're promoting something, it's probably the opposite. That's not a foolproof method, but 90% of the time, it's fairly accurate.
Making our military, once again, the most lethal, badass fighting force on the planet to keep our country safe. God bless you, and we're going to keep fighting.
by the way. You know what that sounds like to me? That sounds like a U.S. Department of Defense. That sounds like a recruiting video for the U.S. military. Does it not? But yeah, avoiding the media, the lying legacy media, the mockingbird media. Clayton Morris is reminding us here. Oh yeah, by the way, 6,000 journalists and 700 newsrooms have been receiving U.S. aid bribery money. It's a wonder all of them parrot the same news.
Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about trouble and irresponsible, one-sided news stories
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
You know, I imagine being one of these news readers and you're in this compilation video and you can never live down the fact that you were played. I mean, look, maybe this will awaken people and realize, wow, I didn't realize it was this bad. Well, it has been.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio.
Yeah. Maybe it's the biggest gift we could have ever received was breaking free from this. What was the quote that I just put? We are emerging from a dystopian Obama doctrine nightmare. The golden age of MAGA destroying the lying legacy media might be the greatest gift humanity could have received. Break the brainwashing, heal humanity. Oh, here's another one from Dave Smith. Talking about the Obama doctrine. I hope Cash starts with Obama and Hillary.
Dave Smith doesn't hold back against the Obamas.
What a disgusting piece of shit who will burn in f***ing hell. That every goddamn time he's campaigning for somebody else, if you're not voting for the person who he wants you to vote for, his answer is that's because you're a terrible person.
Yep.
Michelle Obama got on stage at the DNC and goes, I know a lot of people are upset by me because when you're a black woman, people don't like when you have a strong opinion. As if the only reason we could be upset with Michelle Obama is because she's black and a woman. The damage that guy did to this country, and not just with his horrible policies, but the fact that, listen, this country elected you twice. You two are worth over $100 million. You are amongst the most privileged people in our society. The only thing Barack or Michelle should ever say about America is what a great country we've been to them.
Dave Smith doesn't hold back against the Obama.
There you go. Do you agree or disagree with that? I think that's very well said. I call it the Obama doctrine. Yeah, and here's a guy, Ernst Delma. He's a career criminal. Yeah, they said that backwards. Who previously beat a female NYPD officer, and Judge Brenda Rivera decided to slash his bail. And he was arrested. Hold on. And he was arrested again for randomly assaulting a woman in Times Square. All right. You cannot deal with you can't have people that are violent out in society. They kind of forfeit their right when they're randomly, crazily attacking innocent people. You know, there's a little bit of leeway. There's a little bit of, all right, well, hey, you know, you're going to get punished here. You did some bad stuff, and maybe give some low-level offenders a chance to get their act together. But when you have repeat situations, you just got to throw the book at them and call it a day. Actually, let me share this one final thing here. This is Sean Duffy slamming Gavin Newsom's failed rail project. I lived out there, heard about this forever. They never did anything. It was all money laundered away, wasted and squandered. Here we go. Sean Duffy, Transportation Secretary.
The protesters for a moment, if I could. I think they were chanting, build the rail. It's been 17 years and $16 billion, and no rail has been built. So if you want to go protest somewhere, if you want to shout at someone, go to the governor's mansion. Go talk to Democrats in the legislature who have brought us this crappy project, right? So we've seen over the course of the last month what DOGE has exposed with regard to fraud, waste.
Listen to these idiots booing. Nothing has been done. They've stolen all this money and nothing has been done on this project. Yeah, he's right. Go boo Gavin Newsom. Go boo the Democrat Party.
Abuse. And we're done with it. And you know what? You're going to have people who love fraud, who love waste, who love trains to nowhere. But all of us up here, we do not love fraud, waste, and abuse. We are going to use the taxpayer money efficiently and effectively, and this is a boondoggle. I want to address...
Bravo. What a weird place to go hang out. Getting yelled at like that. All right, let me buzz through some of the other stories on X as we unpack what's happening. Actually, I think I have enough here. Let's listen to J.D. Vance calling for an unapologetic return to sanity.
My message to young men is don't allow this broken culture to send you a message that you're a bad person because you're a man, because you like to tell a joke, because you like to have a beer with your friends, or because you're competitive. It's... I
like to tell a joke. I've started stand-up comedy. I like to have a beer. I like to be a man. I don't know.
Our message, the cultural message, and I think the president's and mine is the exact opposite, but our cultural message is, I think that it wants to turn everybody, into, whether male or female, into androgynous idiots who think the same, talk the same, and act the same. We actually think God made male and female for a purpose, and we want you guys to thrive as young men and as young women, and we're going to help with our public policy to make it possible to do that.
There you go. That sounds pretty standard. That was shared from Alex. Vance slamming Zelensky. Okay. We told you about Insurrection Barbie's thread. Go check that out. You know what? I will show you this again because it's important to me. It's a project that we did. This is called Hurricane Helene, Help on the Way. And this is the documentary that we made. Close this tab. Close this tab. All right. Yeah, this is the documentary that we made about the hurricane. We hope that you go watch it and share this. Hurricane Helene, Help on the Way. Play just the intro so you can get a taste of what we're doing on this project.
There was no notifications going to...
This is Grizzly, a gentleman that was kind enough to invite Blake Wally and myself to his tattoo shop, and we were leading this massive donation effort. I was fortunate enough to rustle up some great donations where I reside, filled my 4Runner completely full of donation supplies, and we made several different stops in a massive, like a horse trailer full of supplies to different churches, different places along the path in southern Virginia, Tennessee, and then into western North Carolina. So this is Grizzly here.
To your phone, like an Amber Alert, like...
Hold on, I talked over the whole beginning here. Let's get to him again. There we go.
There was no notifications going to your phone, like an Amber Alert, like evacuate. I get alerts from Denny's. There actually was a bunch of houses right here that are here now. You can see, look how big the river is, like the riverbed. Holy. Look at this Dollar General, bro.
It blesses your heart to see the way people have come together.
Yeah. I heard like 4 different people talking about like how everybody's just worried this initial hype's gonna die away and people are just gonna forget about it. And really none of these communities can afford to be forgotten.
So yeah, don't forget about it. Stay on top of these issues. Hurricane Helene, East Palestine, Ohio, Maui, and Los Angeles. So please consider sharing that. There's donation links on there as well if you want to donate to Grizzly or to the New American Media. All right. Elon saying NPCs do as they are programmed to do. Trump says, I'm slashing government. Dictator. Zelensky goes, Ukraine won't get an election. I'll stay in charge. Leader. I know she didn't really say that, but look at the eyes. It's always in the eyes. It's always in the eyes. Let's listen to this. This is a huge topic. Based Mike Lee is saying Trump is right. Well, here, let's listen to Trump, and then we'll give Mike Lee's response.
Do you think D.C. should govern itself? Or
do you think D.C. should govern itself?
do you think that governing of District of Columbia should go back to Congress?
Or should the governing of the District of Columbia go back to Congress? He's asked.
I think that we should govern District of Columbia. It's so important, the D.C. situation. I think that we should run it strong, run it with law and order, make it absolutely flawlessly beautiful. And I think we should take over Washington, D.C., make it safe. People are getting killed. People are being hurt. You have a great police department there, but somehow they're not utilized properly. We should govern D.C. I think the federal government should take over the governance of D.C. and run it really, really properly. And I like the mayor. I get along great with the mayor, but they're not doing the job too much.
You get along great with Muriel Bowser, the one that declined the 15,000 National Guard troops on January 6th, huh?
Too much crime, too much graffiti, too many tents on the lawns of these magnificent lawns, and there's tents, and it's a sad thing, homeless people all over the place, and we got to take care of the homeless, but you can't have that in Washington, D.C. When they come over to see me, like Macron is coming, and the Prime Minister of UK is coming, and all these people are coming over to see me, we'll have ultimately President Xi, and we'll have everybody coming, right? And you can't let that be. You just can't let that happen. You can't have tents all over your once magnificent plazas and lawns and all. You just can't do it.
Yeah, and that was all over Los Angeles as well. Yeah, they ruined. You got to address the issue. I believe next week I have a few guests lined up. Who do I have lined up? I think I'm going to be speaking with Adam Kokesh next week. He and I went to LA City Council. No, not Chamber of Commerce, LA City Hall. There we are. We were at the LA City Hall, and we were with several different people as part of a group protesting, making some speeches and asking that they do something about the homeless. And I went as a representative from a homeowners association with 25 buildings, and the homeless stuff had gotten out of control, and we can't have people setting up tents and creeping behind buildings, and we need some enforcement, and these people need help. Help us. So I'll be talking with Adam next week. I'll be talking with Tom Danheiser, the producer of Coast to Coast AM. The largest overnight radio show on earth. Who else do we have booked for next week? Got a couple of guests, John Odermatt of Lions of Liberty and Brian McWilliams. I'm going to be booking them in a week or two, I believe, when things calm down. John B. Wells from Caravan to Midnight, formerly of Coast to Coast AM. He's checking his availability, and he's going to hit me back, hopefully. Same with AJ Anomaly. He says he's trying to get his new studio up and going, and once that's settled in, he's like, hit me back when this is done. He's not doing other shows at the moment. He's focusing on his. Cool. But yeah, I'm going to try to get back to booking guests on the Agree to Disagree show. It's something I've sort of gotten away from as of late, and I really look forward to getting back to it. But yeah, Adam and I go back a while. He's a very interesting character in the liberty movement for sure. But yeah, I saw Adam make a post for the first time. He's like, yeah, people keep saying, when are you going to bring back Adam versus the Man, the show that he used to do? And I'm like, dude, I haven't talked to Adam in years and years. And I just remembered being at the steps of City Hall, giving a speech, talking about how we got to address the homeless situation. Trump is like, dude, you can't walk down the streets without, like, what is going on here? Clean this shit up. Clean their graffiti, move the tents. These are homeless people. Put them up in shelters. Work with the mental health problem. They're either drug addicted or they're mentally ill. Put them in a facility or put them in a facility. You don't just get to throw a tent up in front of businesses or public buildings, and you can't just sling dope out of your place, and you can't just pile trash around. That's not a society. That's a madhouse. So I agree with President Trump here. If you can't get a grip on what's happening in DC, Mike Lee agrees. He says Trump is right. The Constitution puts the Congress in charge of Washington, D.C. People keep saying, oh, D.C. should be our 51st state. D.C. should be a state. It's like, no, our governing documents say D.C. is the District of Columbia, and it's its own thing. It's not a state. It will not be a state. Democrats like, oh, look, 95% of this place is Democrat. We want another state so then we can have more power and control. Nope, not happening. By the way, now that you mention it, let's do home rule. So the Constitution, Mike Lee says, the Constitution puts Congress in charge of D.C. Congress has delegated that authority to the D.C. government, which was a big mistake. My bill, says Mike Lee, the Bowser Act, would fix that. It's time to repeal D.C. home rule. D.C. is unsafe, and Congress has a duty to make it safe again. Share if you agree. There you go. How great is that? Congress is in charge, and they should fix that. So yeah, AP saying President Trump throwing his support behind congressional efforts to put federal takeover of the nation's capital, saying he approves putting the D.C. government back under district federal control. And Mike Davis says, amen, our nation's capital belongs to all Americans. Congress has the constitutional duty to control D.C. The D.C. Home Rule Act of 1973 is unconstitutional. We let a bunch of local idiots destroy our nation's capital. Make D.C. great again. Star Dream says, it's not the president that has called for the end of home rule. It's Congress saying it's time to return to the constitutional duties of Congress to run D.C. You all turned it into a cesspool and a biased place to be, and we all have to pay to keep up the city via taxes, and not just those living there. You've allowed Antifa and BLM to burn the place and didn't stop them. In fact, you allowed it to be tarnished when you allowed BLM to be painted on the streets. I hope the Congress and Senate does return it to constitutional rule as intended. Maybe there will be order again and fairness to all Americans, not the bias and racism that you've practiced. Frederick saying this is a reason that DC loses home rule, unfortunately. People are tired. Get y'all kids. I'll be honest. This is the reason why Metro is my last resort to get somewhere these days. Here's a video of a DC teen, having his Canadian Goose coat snatched, robbed from him on the Metro from another person on this train. It's a very unsafe to be. By the way, please share this on our X post at the New American Media at American_media_. Share if you agree that it's time to release the Epstein and Diddy files. Also, please vote in our poll. Do you support the immediate release of the Epstein and Diddy files? It's all happening. Let's listen to what Pam Bondi has to say about this.
Scaring bad guys is something Kash has talked about a lot, and you have when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein and the people who are predators in this country. Yeah. They've been given a pass, and a lot of Americans think these guys got a pass.
And it's not just that they're predators, they're deep state plants to build spider webs and ensnare people so that they can get an army of people under their control. So when there's a goofy political talking point that you need to come out, who do you see? Rob Reiner, Ellen DeGeneres, LeBron James, Tom Hanks. I don't know. Go down the laundry list of people that you can. I can't confirm or deny. But the suspicion is, you protesteth too much. I wonder if this is somebody who's been caught up, ensnared in this deep state trap to catch people doing things, to convince people to do things, to drug them and do things to them that are embarrassing. There's all sorts of ways this could play out. Epstein, Diddy, and don't think these are the only two. But once they get something on you, now you can't get out of the mob and you owe them a favor. All right, well, we're done if I do this one thing. First off, you're going to do this first thing. I'll get back to you if you're ever done. Don't think you're ever going to be done. You do what we say, when we say, or else. That's how these honeypots work. And that's what's run our government for such a long time. I am calling for the National Apology Project. I'm actually going to jot that down again because I want to launch that. National Apology Project. I want to start getting people who have been wrapped up in this stuff to admit it and to say what they were forced to do against their will. They didn't want to do this, but they had people in their ears threatening them, and out of fear, cowardice, out of shame, out of bribery, blackmail, threats, they did things that they're not proud of. But in order to move forward, they want to out the bad guys so that we can stop this from happening to people moving forward. I'm ready for the National Apology Project, please.
For a long time, and maybe even are still being protected right now. Where are we at with the Jeffrey Epstein list, the documents? And Kash has made a lot of public statements about this. Where are we at?
I was briefed on that yesterday. I can't talk about that publicly, but President Trump has given a very strong directive, and that's going to be followed.
Wow. Okay. So
a lot of documents.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So people can expect actual movement on this. It's not just empty promises.
Oh. Donald Trump doesn't make empty promises.
Yeah, right.
I think promises made, promises kept, and that's why we're all there to carry out his directive about making America safe and prosperous.
Scaring bad guys is something Kash has talked about a lot.
There you go. So yeah, Epstein list about to be released at any moment. We're waiting for it. Waiting for it. It's weird. I've been doing this show in the last couple of days, right around about the same part in the show, I would have one of these little flies from one of my houseplants invade my screen, between my eyes and the screen. And I finally got it. I've missed it the past several times. How weird. All right. So yeah, Tony Blair look, there's a lot of names, and I'm not going to declare that I have anything for certain on the names of the people involved here. However, I mean, you can only assume. Jim Brewer, who I saw at a comedian event for Bobby Kennedy in Nashville last year, he has some thoughts here. This is shared from Liz Churchill. She says, when the Epstein Island list is released, you'll realize some of your favorite celebrities are on it. Let's hear what he has to say.
Here are the comments by some big name celebrities. And always remember this, you may be a big celebrity. You may be a huge name in the entertainment world. You may be one of the biggest sports stars in the world, but you know what? That doesn't mean you're moral, doesn't mean you're smart, doesn't mean you're a good person. All that means is that you are a slave to this, you're a slave to vanity. You're a slave to the dictatorship to keep you on top of that mountain. And that is evil. It is dark. It's creepy. It's soulless. Soulless. Let me tell you something about celebrities. And let me tell you something about some big sports stars. If you honestly knew what some of your favorite big superstars really did behind closed doors, if you knew what your favorite late night talk show host did behind closed doors.
Is he insinuating Jimmy Kimmel? Jimmy, you got to look at the actions of the people. Jimmy has turned bitter, angry, anti-Trump. He's lost his entire sense of humor. And you wonder why he's been such a slave to that agenda, promoting and pushing all of that nonsense, all that anti-Trump rhetoric, working for the ABC, ESPN, Disney Corporation. Oh, that was challenging. Oh, I had to navigate back to the original tab in the dashboard to mute the button before I sneeze there. Wow. Bravo for me. Oh, okay. Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel. I think he's referencing Jimmy Kimmel there, perhaps. Alan, what's up, buddy? Saying Epstein list next week. Oh, you don't drop it before the weekend. You don't think so? Okay. All right. So you're anticipating Monday morning. Wasn't that a song? Monday morning or something? Okay, maybe you're right, Alan. But you know, the stories they try to hide, they do it on a late night Friday press release, a Friday drop. All right, so yeah, maybe Monday.
If you really knew what your favorite radio star, TV star, newscaster truly did behind closed doors, none of us are perfect. We all do weird things. We're all freaky and weird and crazy. But if you knew, you wouldn't follow half the people. You wouldn't listen. And I tell you what, I put doctors on that list. I put CEOs on that list. I put the everyday person on that list. People are wrapped up watching the news, listening to their stars, because that's the way you've been programmed your whole life. Mm-hmm. We're still in the Roman Empire, baby. Feed them and entertain them just enough, and we shall control them through fear. And they will do whatever we want. We have a dictator situation.
And we finally have a chance to turn some of this stuff right for the first time ever. Yeah, Gunther Engelman saying today would be a great day to expose the pedophiles on Epstein Island and Diddy list. Yeah, but maybe next week. You're right. You're right. You're right. You are right. Yeah, so Pam Bondi confirming that Trump will keep his campaign promise to release the Jeffrey Epstein list. Remember, though, Epstein was offed during President Trump's term. Bill Barr was in there. Yeah, Trump has a lot of photos with him and Epstein, but like he famously kicked Epstein out of his country club and distanced himself and went to great lengths to try to buy properties Epstein wanted and keep him out of play. Like he did not like him. But yeah, he was swimming in those circles trying to, hey, come on over here. I got this spider web. You want to come check it out? Bill Clinton, buddy. It's time to take down both Hillary for what she did to Trump in 2016, all the FISA warrant spying, Perkins Coie, the fake Russian P-tape, the dossier, the FISA warrants to spy on Carter Page as a backdoor to spy on President Trump, candidate Trump. Take out Bill Clinton because of Epstein Island. Take out Hillary because of her treason. Let's go. Please, let's go. And Obama at the core of all of this stuff. Yeah, let's have that press conference where Kash Patel reads out the names on the Epstein list. There is so much speculation as to who is actually on the list. You know, I make jokes sometimes and I'll mention some things, but there really is a massive difference between there's a massive difference between people that might have been tricked into thinking a young, attractive person was of legal age and consenting, and haha, I gotcha. They're not 18, they're 16. And you're like, oh no. I could actually understand a scenario like that. I could get that. I could be like, oh, all right. So that was the trick they got you at. They presented false pretenses. You know, you've heard that. You meet somebody out at in an establishment or a nightclub, and maybe they have a fake ID and they're pretending to be someone that they're not. All right, well, maybe that's part of the plan. And there could definitely be situations where people were drugged. They were drugged so heavily that they kind of lost track of what they were doing. They kind of lost control of their abilities. Now, Bill Cosby would drug people, and usually, I think the story wasn't that you'd give them ecstasy or something to make them randy, or get them so drunk that they don't realize what they're. It was like they would actually pass out, and you just do whatever you want with them while they were passed out, which is really weird. That's like close to necrophilia right there. To be messing with an unconscious person, that's just like, I don't even know how that could be fun. But like Jim Brewer just said, everybody's into something. But yeah, if people were drugged and tricked, okay, I could. There's a part of me that could understand forgiving some of that. If there's things that are happening with clearly underage people, and I mean, the difference. The difference. That becomes unforgivable territory. If there's just freaky stuff happening between consensual people, I mean, maybe it is embarrassing. Come on, Nimbus, let's go. Nimbus is nice until you pet him the wrong way and he nibbles at you. I'm like, all right, time to move you aside. Love you, buddy, but no more nibbling. People just being freaky with consenting people. Okay, I mean, that's kind of just personal prerogative. Now, if they're doing freaky things and their significant other is not participating, well, now you're into, violations of trust there. That's a different moral situation. And then there's the repeat offenders. You often hear Bill Clinton and Bill Gates and Jimmy Kimmel, and like there's a lot of names afloat out there. I let's get the list and confirm. But when you're a repeat offender and you know exactly what you're doing, Bill Gates goes down there allegedly how many times, and Bill Clinton goes there allegedly how many times. Let's wait and see how this shakes out. But it's one thing to get tricked. It's another to be a repeat customer, a gold star member, a frequent flyer, if you will, on the Lolita Express. So there's a lot of layers to unpack. Just because somebody, that LeBron video, like, ain't no party like a Diddy party. And you're like, oh. And then you see almost every bad opinion, every bad political opinion. You saw LeBron James out there over the past 10 years, back to Trayvon Martin through BLM and just all sorts of wacky stuff, always taking the Obama doctrine side of things. And you go, I wonder if he's genuinely doing this from something he's thinking about and he's feeling compelled to do it, or if he's on tape doing certain things with teammates, recording artists, actors, actresses, like, was he being told what to do, or was he just trying to be a pious annoyance? I don't know. I don't know how much we can trust anything that's about to come out, but it all needs to be revealed. It's time to get to the bottom of all of this, because if part of what the deep state, U.S. aid, whatever you want to call it, if the reason they've been this successful is because they've been able to ensnare so many CEOs and foreign dignitaries, leaders of other nations, think Macron and his significant other, think Obama and his significant other, think Schumer and his significant other, think Trudeau and his father and significant other. Is it that only blackmailable people have been allowed to be in positions of power for this long? I mean, LeBron's been in a position of power because he's a great athlete. He's the best basketball player of all time. You can say it's Michael Jordan. You can say it's any number of 30 people. I get it, but nobody's been at the peak of their game for 22, 23 seasons. It's unheard of. Still a top 5 basketball player. It's insane. That was through the merit of success on the court, although there's rumors of different performance enhancing this or recuperative and recovery that may or may not be above board and allowed by the collective bargaining agreement of the NBA. Who knows? But he's earned his notoriety up there. But it's like, there's a story of Beyonce. She won a Grammy because Jay-Z paid tens of millions of dollars to buy certain numbers of albums to make sure that it charted in a certain way. I don't know if that, you hear all these rumors, but when you control other world leaders because you trapped them in this little, haha, gotcha. By the way, I've been invited to places, beach resort weeks, or parties where certain activities may or may not have been occurring. Who knows what pitfalls I might have avoided? Going with no intention of participation in anything, but, grab a drink from a bartender, and who knows what that drink is spiked with. That was the Diddy story. Like they would drug these people. If they were legitimate victims of abuse, like you can't get mad at somebody for being abused. Oh, well, they put themselves in that situation. What? They went to a vacation on an island. Okay, yeah, that happens. People have resources, and you do that. Oh, well, he went to the party. He knew. You're like, you went to a party, so what? That's as gross as like saying, oh, that woman deserved to be assaulted. Look at that dress she wore out to the nightclub. She was asking for it. Nobody asks for it to be abused. So I will have some level of sympathy depending on how the information is distributed to the public and how guilty these people actually are. Alan is saying Jasmine Crockett says any money Doge recovers doesn't belong to the American people. Yeah, she is clearly one of the dumbest people, one of the dumbest deep state puppets that you've seen. We need to find someone to whip her ass out of Congress. It is their money. Yeah, it is. She's just as astroturfed as AOC. Find a young, moderately attractive lady here to speak, give them all of the backward talking points, prop them up. I think AOC and Liz Cheney both credit U.S. aid money for their political careers. It's a factory. They churn out these goofy little robots. Jasmine Crockett is one of the worst. Yeah, there's another from the squad, Ayanna Pressley, saying that freedom of speech on X and YouTube and new media needs to be banned, in her own words. She's been in Congress since 1974. Hold on. Ayanna Pressley has been in Congress since 74. Hold on. Is that true? No. She was born in 1974. No, she's not that old. Ayanna Soyini Pressley, Massachusetts. She served since 2019. She was born in 1974. Okay. Yeah, she's not old. I'm like, no, she's not old. But yeah, these people, these squad members, these Soros appointed, the Soros district attorneys that are ruining the cities because they won't prosecute the criminals. This is all ending. This is all changing. I'm super excited for it. I can't wait to unpack the news. I'll plan on doing a show tomorrow. We'll see how, weekends are wild cards. We'll see if it's a morning show or an afternoon or an evening show. I will plan on coming back and talking to you. If there's breaking news, hey, I might not want to wait. I might just go live for the hell of it. So always keep your eyes peeled for the New American Media. And we can continue these conversations with you, Frankie and Alan and everybody else in the chat and everybody else watching on Rumble and all the other places. So yeah, that's going to conclude my show today. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Oh yeah, look, Alan, bro, I get so much wrong. But that's the point I was making earlier. When a news outlet, when somebody is going to piss on my leg and tell me it's raining and they know better, that person is done to me. They are done. I get things wrong. Everybody gets things wrong. I misremember things. I misquote things. I read things that I thought were true and it turns out it was not accurate. That happens. Of course that happens. That happens to everybody. The point is correcting it once we find out, oh, did I misspeak? Hold on, did I reported something that I thought was accurate, but I guess it wasn't. All right, let me clear that up. That's honesty. That's trustworthiness. That's the opposite of what the deep state does. They keep pushing fake realities, and some people still go along with it. It's the wildest thing. The wildest. All right. So we're going to wrap it up for now. Please make sure you follow the New American Media on Facebook, Instagram, Rumble, YouTube. Subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, please. Like it however you're watching it today. The Agree to Disagree Show podcast is on. Yes, she still needs to go. So many people still need to go. Yeah, that list is 50 to 100 people right off the bat. Many Republicans included. Oh, I didn't even mention Mitch McConnell has officially said he's not going to seek re-election. He's officially retiring at the end of this term. He should retire right now, actually. And they said Daniel Cameron in Kentucky is going to try to get that Senate seat. So we'll see how that goes.
At the comedy night the other day, I did a Mitch McConnell impersonation. Because it was erroneously reported that I was one of the 250-year-old people, the vampires, if you will, still receiving Social Security benefits. I find that report to be preposterous.
And that was my Mitch McConnell impression. The turtle. The turtle. So that's happening as well. A lot of people need to go. I need to go for now. But like I said, Spotify and Apple, the podcasts, the Agree to Disagree Show is where I'll put the TNAM AM shows under the umbrella of the Agree to Disagree Show. Next week, I'm booking guests. We're going to be back to kind of doing what we always used to do, is bringing guests in. I'm excited for that. Talk to some friends that I haven't talked to in a while. Patreon.com/The New American Media. If anybody out there wanted to sign up and, chip in and buy us a cup of coffee, like this Don't Tread on Me cup of coffee. You sign up, it's like $5 a month or $15 a month or $100 a month or $1,000 a month, whatever people are able to send. The more support we get, the more we can broadcast. That's on Patreon. If anyone wants to donate to the New American Media, we're on PayPal at Fuzz Installment. Cash App, $ Brian Engelman. Venmo at Brian Engelman. Those are the ways you can support us there. And on X, we're at American_media_. Oh, don't forget Truth Social, the New American Media. We're over there, although they're doing website maintenance and I can't really access it at the moment. It works on the phone app, but not on the desktop at the moment. So follow the New American Media. We'll be back soon. Thank you to everyone participating. Go enjoy your day. Get some fresh air. Stay positive and don't ever give up. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Peace.